to the 9/11 War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com.
Welcome to the 9/11 War Room. My name is Gene.
My name is Sandra. Today is Sunday, November 16th, and we have episode 209.
Yeah. 209. Getting started. There's only one real story, corporate level, the Times of India, if you can call it corporate. It says here, once Al-Qaeda commander, Syrian leader defends role in 9/11 attacks after historic Trump meet. Says here, Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa downplayed past connections to al-Qaeda during his historic U.S. visit, emphasizing his youth at the time of 9/11 attacks. Speaking to Fox News, al-Sharaa said he had no decision-making power as a teenager and is the wrong person to be linked to the attacks. The visit follows his removal from the U.S. Treasury Department's global terrorist list after leading a rebel group in Syria considered a terrorist organization. Al-Sharaa also met with President Donald Trump to discuss investment opportunities and regional cooperation, highlighting a major shift in his international standing. So he's still a terrorist.
Yeah. So he's born in 1982. So I guess he was 18 at the time of 9/11. Kind of borderline.
Yep.
Pepe Escobar had a great one. He was being interviewed on a podcast, and he asked if Trump collected the $10 million reward when he visited the White House.
All right.
Reward for what?
That fella had a $10 million reward on his head, and Pepe wanted to know if
Al-Sharaa did. Oh,
yeah,
No.
if Trump got the reward when he came to visit the White House.
probably.
All right. There is one other one. This goes on top of what Truth Action Project's last meeting was about, which they discussed curriculum or getting to the younger grade school level. How do we get curriculums or something in there? This news story, Wisconsin 9/11 Memorial looks to expand with $3 million museum and educational center. 2 points I just want to read here. It says the new building will be around 4,500 square feet and have an exhibit space with interactive displays and educational stations. It will also feature a community room and outdoor pavilion. Bezada said, with over 850 students visiting each year, it's important to provide an educational space to make sure the next generation never forgets.
Yeah, never forgets the official lie.
Yeah, exactly.
So if anybody's out in Wisconsin,
Ron Johnson.
this would be a to set up shop with a booth and flyers and what?
Mike Cook just pointed out this is Wisconsin is Ron Johnson's state.
Yeah.
It is, right.
Maybe there's a letter to Ron saying, hey, we should.
Yeah.
There we go.
Activists can still set up shop there and wait for people to come out and say, this is the real story.
Yep.
Now, this is not built yet. That's like a rendering, right?
Correct. I think they're also going to discuss when there was no set timeline for when the project is expected to be done. For more information, go there. But I'll put all this in the show notes for people to check out if they'd like. Follow up with that. I think we will. We'll definitely write Ron Johnson a letter.
Maybe they can run my my 9/11 museum virtual walking tour.
Yeah.
We should do a campaign like Andy did for C-SPAN and just pound them.
We'll be talking more on that. Again, I said that the TAP Talk this past Tuesday was discussing the need for getting some type of curriculum or some type of training or educational something for the kids, the younger crowds, to be able to break through to them. So check that out. I've been looking, if anybody know Chuck, or I don't know if Mike's on yet.
Mike was there.
Oh yeah, Mike's there. I looked on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook to see where these recordings are, and I can't find them anywhere. Do you guys know where they're being put?
The recordings for
what
what
recording?
exactly?
What recordings?
For the Truth Action Project TAP Talk.
Oh,
They're at the. They're at Rumble Truth Action.
Ah, okay.
The one place Gene didn't look.
The one place I didn't like, yeah. Rumble.com/ whoop. Let's take this. Geez, if I can type /Truth Action.
Yep.
Would that
Oh,
include?
no, it's tap action. Try tap action. I'm sorry. We have a glitch in our Rumble system, and we, but go tap action.
There we
Yeah.
go.
And
Well, that's
the one from last week it's not posted yet. In fact, there's a debate. Well, there's not a debate, where there's discussion about preserving this tap Rumble for high-end celebrity presentations, and our tap talks where we're just hanging around talking, then that would be placed someplace else, not
right.
necessarily posted. So we're still trying to work out how we how we do the non-celebrity tap talks.
You mean featured speakers, right?
Featured speakers, guest speakers, yes, exactly. And I call those celebrities.
So check
So,
that
so the
out.
guest speakers are on the rumble.com/tap action.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and it's anything we've ever done is there. We have these parallel. We have a Truth Action project, and then we have tap. Somehow we had someone set up one account, we got another, but they're pretty much mirrored. So we're trying to clean up so there's just one destination. And if you do Truth Action project, it should trigger you to connect at Rumble. But it didn't work, as Gene just found out. So
Just need to get you a new link down at the bottom, maybe for Rumble.
on our web page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. Thank you for
So
that.
is Carl Schwartz's interview on the rumble dot?
It's in the tap action. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Yep.
Under Rumble.
there you go. Yep. You can see it.
There
Cool.
we go.
Check out
Okay.
truthactionproject.org, their website, or if you want to see the Rumble channel, rumble.com/tap action, TAP action.
Okay.
Next story. If you guys were here last week, you heard it straight from Richard's mouth. But since then, Richard has written an article about it. The slip twixt the cup and the lip.
Say that 3 times.
Yeah, I had to look that one up.
I had no idea what he meant. I thought it was
I
a
didn't
good
either.
way of kind of burying the lead.
It was a way to say when you think something's just about to go through and it gets pulled out at the last second. So he does a really good discussion there on what happened. If you want,
I have an update on that when
Okay.
when you're ready.
oh, and also Craig also put out an article. I don't have the link to it.
Is that a Substack? Thoughts, crimes, misdemeanors.
Let's Substack.
Yeah, just do a search for that.
1 second. Sorry. Search subject. Thoughts. Crimes. How do I
No
find
S and thought
Right here.
crimes.
thought crimes?
Thought crimes.
Thought crime. Sorry,
There we go.
my bad.
The assassination of 8911 Truth, Gage's return falls apart, part 1. So check that out as well.
Oh, I want to add something to that, and Craig can chime in if he wants to. We had the most bizarre experience with Craig trying to share this link on the Facebook 9/11 Truth Movement page, the big group that has 43,000 followers. You know, Gene and I are admin. We get notifications for any post that is requesting approval because it's not automatic. You can't just post. You have to have it okayed by the admins. And Craig sends me a message saying, I put this in both the regular, the private, and the public Truth Movement page. It hasn't been approved yet. And I'm like, what you talking about? It's not pending. It's not, I've never got a notification. I went to triple check. It wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And it just doesn't make sense. I've never had a situation of someone telling me so he sends me the screenshots on his end that say the posts are waiting for approval. I got nothing. So I think he took it down. He tried it again. It didn't work. I didn't get it. And he's like, he asked me again. I said, I don't know what to tell you. So he had a friend of his try, and that worked. I got that notification, but Craig's just was not going through. And I don't know why. It was
The other one seems to be gone too, though, Sandra. Like the one that RB Ham posted.
I still see it.
Didn't include the link. It just had the name with no sort of link. And I said, well, you need to use a direct URL, not open.substack. So he says he did that, and now there's no post at all from him.
I still see it though.
I do want to point out too, if people ever try to post the Facebook 9/11 Truth Movement group, we get a lot of things, and it's stuff like this, the secret history of Al Qaeda, full documentary. Like, we don't have time to sit and watch like 2 hour, hour and a half documentaries on top of everything else we got in our life going on. So bear with us. That's why some things are hanging out, because it's hard to find the time to watch all the stuff.
And we at least have to skim through it, because some of them start off innocently enough, and then they veer off into
just wild,
totally alien territory.
Yeah.
And so we have to be very careful with what we approve. So if it's just a meme or a statement or a picture, those get approved or declined pretty quickly.
Yep.
If you're going to post a 2-hour documentary, it's going to take a while. Oh, and Susan has her hand up.
Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I wanted to point out, if Mike's here, he can elaborate. The TAP Talk, one of the very important things that they brought up is the importance of contacting your state or your county, whatever it might be, about what 9/11 curriculum they do have, and such as in Florida, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, it's been mandated to have a 9/11 curriculum. So, you should do the due diligence and see what that curriculum consists of, which I plan to do for Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You're saying that you can just write to them and say, what does your 9/11 curriculum consist of? And they'll send you the bullet points kind of thing, or?
Well, if Mike is there, he can elaborate. He did provide the step-by-step. Is he here?
Well, Mike.
Yes, Susan. Thanks. I wanted to just clarify something in addition to what Susan is saying. It's not about creating a curriculum. That's the last thing we hope to achieve. The initial step is to create a conversation in your local political arena, your city hall, your county commission, your town hall, where we can debate these people face to face, confront them with the false evidence. Because now these states, like Susan mentioned, Massachusetts, Florida, and even Pennsylvania, they're forcing a 9/11 curriculum upon the students. So it's our job in the truth community to confront them with the truth, create a conversation, force the issue. And yes, Sandra, to your question, if you make a FOIA request or a records request with your local county school district, we've already done it here in Florida with several counties, and I was just notified mine is waiting to be received and paid for. The information I requested is going to cost $70, which I'm going to challenge, but I find out Monday what this information is, and I specifically want to dissect any video that they force upon the students to watch, and then any written materials or slideshows. So I hope that answers your question a little better.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else, Sue?
Yes. We had a guest speaker last Thursday scheduled, and I did not announce it because he did not confirm, even though he was confirmed, weeks ago. I always send out an email to our guest speaker. What do you want me to announce? Do you have a bio you want me to announce? That sort of thing. He never replied. This was Dan Noel. So I did not announce it to the larger group because I wasn't sure if he was going to show up. I tried calling him. I called Richard Gage to make sure I had the correct phone number. Left 2 messages. So I hope he's okay. So long and short of it, no one showed up. 2 people showed up. Magnus showed up. And then after waiting half an hour and having a nice chat with Magnus, Jane Milliken showed up. So I had a nice chat with these two, but we didn't have a guest speaker and it wasn't recorded. But I did want to bring up something that Magnus pointed out and we discovered together. The Ron Johnson petition. Magnus showed me his screenshot. He can get at the petition.
Tucker, you mean?
Yes, Tucker. Sorry.
No.
Sorry. The Tucker Carlson petition for a new investigation. He can get at the petition in Norway, but I can't.
We can't in the United States. Very odd.
Yeah. So something
might be a
is
provider.
very nefarious about that.
I have Comcast and can't get there. Do you have Comcast?
No, I have Verizon.
Interesting. Two separate carriers.
Yep. So it's a US block, I think. And I did get into it earlier when it was first, about a week after it first came out, but I can't get into it again.
It'd be great to know, like, Craig, if you can get to the website's newcommissionnow. What was it? Com or org? Let's try this again.
I think com.
Let's see. Newcommissionnow.com. Yeah, still can't get there for us.
Well, I got a page when I got in. I got a page, but there was no petition to sign. It just said we need a new investigation. There was I clicked all over the place and there was nothing active there.
Has anybody told Tucker Carlson?
Oh, yeah, Chris Joya and I have at least a half a dozen times, if not more.
Okay.
So,
Gene,
yes.
I can tell you I'm in Canada and I can't see the page either. I get the same result.
And I just tried it and I got in.
What?
And can you get the petition?
You went to newcommissionnow.com. How can that be? We're on the same network.
To New Commission, and then basically you get all the choices that show up with what you typed in, and there was one that had 9/11 added to it, so but the URL I'm looking at says watch Tucker.
No, that's what I'm asking. You have to put newcommissionnow.com.
Well,
anyway, all right. There's the mystery. I'll send another email to Tucker, figure out what's going on there. That's very.
It's beginning to seem like it's been blocked in the U.S.
Yeah. All right.
Well, it's blocked in Canada too.
Let's keep rolling through the news here. What do we got next? And then to point out also with this, with Richard's article about what happened and Craig's article about what happened, his take on it. Then we go to the AE website, and there's only one board of director listed, and that's Kamal. I don't know how many I don't even know how many more board members they have now. It's all up in the air. So
technically they have two.
The long and short of it, from my take, here's the very short layman version. Right now you've got Kamal and Kelly as part of the organization, but because they are, I guess, the board of directors, you now assume all the liability. And right now, AE has a little bit of financial difficulty. So either they get out from under this rock and pass it on to Richard and all the engineers that he wanted to include into a board, which makes sense. Architects and engineers have architects and engineers on the board. But Richard pulled back from joining because for whatever reason, they wanted to have Kelly David part of it. But now it's just Kamal and Kelly, and they're sitting under this enormous weight of liability. So either pass it off or you're going to get crushed with this looming liability. So we're just sort of all sitting and waiting. And
which liability are you talking about, Gene?
I heard there's a liability. They have some debt.
That they have debt. And Richard explained that also, which is why he encouraged the board members that were voted in a couple of weeks ago to hand in the resignation, at least for now, because if they're going to be liable for the debt and they don't have any voting power for the 60 days,
Yeah.
then that puts them in a lot of trouble.
Before I go to Roy and Barb, I just go real quick. It's 5:20. It's the time when the World Trade Center 7 fell. We use this as an opportunity to say a quick prayer for justice. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 or 3 years. So pause with me for just 1 sec. Lord, coming to you, I thank you so much for what everyone's doing, all the confusion and new things and new growth coming from it, and the shakeup happening everywhere. We trust that you have your hand in this, that all things are happening for the good, and that we would see justice in our lifetime. I just pray for blessings and protection for everyone involved in this movement that continue to just move forward in faith. Thank you for these things in your name. Amen. Thanks, everybody.
And I just quickly wanted to add before you go to Roy, I don't even know if legal, I don't know anything about boards. Can you have 2 people on a board? Like, isn't there like a minimum?
Yes, there is a minimum of 3.
3. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Can I just add a quick to that? That it's right in the AE bylaws that you can't go below 3. So, in fact, the vote that they held to remove Andy Steele went against the organization's bylaws. So technically, that could be challenged if one was was motivated. I don't think Andy wants to go to court, so he's not going to do that. But he certainly has grounds, I think, to challenge his removal if he wanted to do so.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll go to Roy.
Okay. I raised my hand as soon as I saw the secret history of Al Qaeda among the unadmitted posts to a Facebook group, and that was before I saw that Carol posted the same thing. That is Corbett. I still haven't watched it, but I'm sure it's very, very good. And I think it's very important that it should be put up right away with the Tucker Carlson series and what he's implying about Al Qaeda and all of that jazz. And then she also added the URL. So you've got the URL and her exhortation that you let that in right away.
I'm looking for it.
He's looking for it.
Oh, I see something. I don't see a link. Carol. I see the write-up of it.
Right.
Yeah, below that.
Below it.
Yeah.
I see one from Magnus. Oh, here we go. Got it. Here we go. Share. No, we missed this. Oh, that's from September 11th, 2021. Oh, that was the post that was made to 9/11 Truth Movement group that I got to go through. So, yeah, I'm with you, Roy. Haven't seen it yet, but we will be watching it at some point.
But you don't need to watch it to admit it to the group. It's James Corbett, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's safe. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Send for
You
it.
don't need to wait 2 hours. Just put it on, let it through. I'm sure it's fine.
I'm doing it as we speak.
All right. Thank you.
Very good.
You got it. She got it. All right. Barb.
Yeah. By the way, before I go on, is Richard on to comment or not?
No.
There he is. He
Yes.
just came in.
Oh, hi, Richard.
Hello. Oh, there he is.
Barb,
There you
is Richard on? Because I have something to tell him. And bing, you came in.
Yeah, Richard just came on. Richard, I was just about to we were talking about your post on your website, and if you could clarify, because I was going to comment on the need for clarification, then you popped on. Nice synchronicity. If you could clarify for everybody that on your post, you appear not to close the door because you have 7 conditions to return to A&E. So could you clarify for us whether the door's still open or not?
Well, it seems to be closing tighter every day on the other side. So I don't see a hope of having this go through. There's no openness.
Well, there isn't now, but if there were, is the door still open?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that a yes? I could.
Yes, if they can meet all our original agreements, which
Yeah.
were plain and simple and illustrated there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very interesting. I talked to Jane Clark last night, and she had a very interesting idea about, of course, we don't know. You and I have talked one-on-one about, well, what's really behind this? And at least the last time we talked, we agreed we didn't know. the real reason for the turnaround, you know. And Jane had an idea. And her idea was,
Are you sure you want this idea publicly presented?
Yeah, let's hear it. I'm curious.
I don't think there's a problem, Richard.
Okay.
Unless you want me to tell you first and
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's Jane's idea. It's not mine.
well, Jane thinks it's about the money. And this is just her theory, but it's very interesting in terms of the timing.
I don't know what you mean by money.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So Jane's idea is that there are these unmet financial obligations, including, as I understand, and I think that was from you actually, unmet financial obligations, including back pay for probably Craig and Andy, but who knows?
All that's been taken care of.
Okay. Well, if it's been
Entirely.
taken, okay, let me get to the point. So her idea was, regardless of whether that's true and taken care of, put that aside. Her idea was that at the time, they may have felt that they needed funds. And a really kind of tricky way to get a lot of funds really quickly would be to announce that you were back and then to unannounce that you were back. Because I, for one, jumped in, as I told Jane, and immediately donated $500 to you as the new head of A&E. And who knows how many other people did that within the first 24 hours before it got turned around. That was Jane's comment. I just thought I'd tell you.
Yeah, it's not about money.
Okay, well, you know better than we do.
Thank you. Thanks, Barb. We'll go to Mike and then Craig.
Is it appropriate to ask the magnitude of the debt?
No, he just said it was not about money. So I
thought
there was. Forgive me, because right before Richard came on, I said that long and short, that I thought it was about a liability that the board members would ensue. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
Jerry said in the chat they took in 2.25 million.
What are you talking about?
It's in the chat.
Well, 2.25 million what?
I'm not sure. Jerry didn't say who they were. He said they took in 2.25 million.
That's not true.
Not for AE. He might be talking about something else.
No, I had access. I had access for a while to the figures. That's nowhere near true.
I mean,
okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks, Mike.
2019, 2020, they published.
We can barely hear you, Jerry.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2019, 2020, I'm talking about there, Richard.
Oh, well,
by the published tax accounts, because you took in 2.25 million.
I don't think that's true either, Jerry.
So what's in the accounts then?
You can look at the 990 forms. They are publicly available for nonprofits, and I can almost guarantee you there's nothing near that much, especially in 2019, 2020. I wasn't there then. Well, excuse me, I was. I was out in 2020, but there was no big fundraising programs. Check the 990s before throwing out numbers like that.
Yeah, that's what I got it from.
Well, okay, then can you send them to me? Because I'll be
proved. Send you the accounts for something you were in charge of. With all due respect, I'm not saying that disrespectfully or doubting you.
If you have the 990s, would you be willing to send them to me so I can see them?
I'll dig them out in the background here. Yeah.
Here, I got them right here. Let's see.
Because I'm not. That just sounds outlandish.
Yeah, it did to me as well. I mean,
we always had a problem paying the people, and after I left as well, it was just always tight, and that's why there was back pay owed to people for the last couple of months.
This is back in 2010, but end of year 30,000. 2011, maybe
We're
I
talking 2019 and 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have them by number, Gene?
18, 17, 18, 19.
There's 19.
Go to 19.
Go to 19. 19 shows 87,000 end of the year.
Oh, right. That's nothing like what I saw. Let me go and have a look at what I got, because I'm sure it was on. I
All
can't
right.
remember which site. Hey, let me go and dig that out.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Go to Craig.
Yeah. Just a couple of things, I guess. I did want to just, after last week's discussion, I came away with it with a little bit of disappointment, I guess would be the word, that through that whole very long discussion, like there wasn't even one person that expressed any kind of I don't know. I'm not looking for sympathy, but any kind of empathy towards Andy and I, who've both been basically carrying the load alone for a long time, for many months, virtually alone anyway, and that we kind of both got axed for this new development, and in a way that I don't think was right or fair. So I was a little disappointed that that we had this long string of people commenting on the news, but it was all, I mean, not to say that people shouldn't be commenting on Richard, because it's Richard's organization, he founded it, so it's perfectly appropriate that people would react to how this relates to him. But it also related to other people who are also dedicated to the mission of AE, who are also worked very hard to try to promote it, and I just kind of was a bit disappointed that nobody seemed to have any interest in acknowledging that. Anyway, not that I need sort of like acknowledgement, I suppose, but
Great.
And I also felt Andy and I came across in a slightly negative light with the idea that Kelly and Kamal had phoned Richard and said, we're having trouble with our employees. We need you to come in and kind of come to the rescue. That certainly conflicts with what the other two are saying. I don't know what the truth is, but the other two are clearly, I mean, Kelly David doesn't seem to feel that she was involved at the beginning. And that's what we had understood. We understood that she was very ambiguous at best about approving this, and that's why the thing kind of didn't happen for weeks. And I kind of thought, well, it looks like the whole thing is not going to happen because Kelly's not in favor of it, and that means 2 out of 3 on the board are saying no. So I was, that's what I understood, was that she kind of did a reversal kind of at the last minute. And I will sort of be talking about this in a future article very shortly about how that happened, because I think it's important for people to understand. And so there's that. But I do want to, there is something that's happened since, and I just wanted to raise it because I'm kind of scooping myself, because of, I'm going to tell you before I, do anything with it. But, there was there's some content, I guess, Richard can confirm this, that he brought a guy named Chris Rocco in to help with the transition and with the website and everything. And from what I understand, and I think I had it confirmed today, at least, was that Rocco, even after Richard withdrew and the whole board stepped down again, Rocco retained access to the website, and he deleted or turned off an article that related to Andy and my interview with Aldo Marquis about the Pentagon. And it what concerns me is that this appears to have been done after Richard left. So this person it doesn't seem that they should have had any access to deleting anything. Now the article's since been put back up.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you'll find it's back, but yes, there you go. So because Andy Steele informed Kelly David and Kamal Obeid about this, and they said they didn't know anything about it, and that they would they would fix it. And I actually wrote to Rocco and confirmed with him that it was that he did decide to do this. Now, I don't know why he did it or on whose authority or whatever, but and I'll just finish on this. One of the things that Andy wanted to negotiate in his severance agreement, which never got signed because not everything got agreed to, but one of the things he wanted in there was a clause that said that none of the content that we created would be deleted once the transfer took place. And in particular, the ones we were both concerned about was the Aldo Marquis interview in Dawn of the Truth, and also the in July having Adam Ruff on to talk about the Pentagon evidence. So we felt this was, good content and should not be deleted. Anyway, so in other words, I guess what this tells me is that we had reason to be concerned about this because, in fact, one of the things, did get deleted, at least temporarily. So I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that, but I just wanted to mention that to people.
Yeah, I'm not happy. I mean, I don't like to see anybody get fired or let go and stuff like that. And I, finally patched up things with you and Andy after all these years. So I do want to see the best for you. So that's
I just wanted to quickly chime in on that too. We all got kind of like the rug pulled out from under our feet right when the podcast started. We were all processing and digesting what Richard was saying, and it was a lot. And so even, and you're right, you were right here on the call and you were the one who suffered the consequence of that. And we should have acknowledged that more. I think we were just all in catch up mode of everything happening at that moment.
So was I.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. It kind of hits you harder or more directly than any of us.
And I didn't even know the news ahead of time, so I was as shocked as you were too.
Well, we found out like a minute before.
Yeah,
so,
literally.
Yeah, literally.
All right. I got a bunch of hands up. I still have 2 news items to get to.
Okay. I just thought maybe somebody wanted to address his other.
Oh, anybody else that want to address that before I go to the other hands?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Roy, go ahead.
If I may.
Go ahead, Roy, and then Magnus.
Oh, okay. No, it was first of all, I didn't say anything last week. I didn't raise my hand once. I was keeping my mouth shut. I didn't know what it was about, and so if I had said anything, I probably would have said something supportive of Craig. But Craig knows that I have expressed support and exasperation at his getting fired, if not on this call, elsewhere, privately and publicly. The other thing was that just while we're on that subject, someone suggested that Kelly David was receiving a salary from AE, and that nobody had mentioned the possibility of her wanting to retain her salary as being a reason for her not wanting to leave the board, as previously agreed to. So I thought that was a very plausible explanation for that, and so I'm sharing that with the group. Nobody mentioned that possibility last week. It seemed to be a big mystery, and it seems to be less of a mystery now. What is more at question is how much she was and is actually receiving. The figure I saw was, I think, like $112,000 a year.
I think she's a volunteer, Roy.
Really? Okay. Well, then the information I got on her salary was wrong then.
Those were the older years. So 2019, she was making 60,000. I mean, these were the COO and CEO at the time were making that, which, this was a big organization back then. I don't find any problem with that, but it is on the W-2s.
I don't think she's had a salary since in the last 2 years, certainly.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I
forget that.
I think that's not entirely true. When she was brought back about a little bit more than a year ago, I think the initial idea was that she was sort of volunteering, and I guess informally volunteering before that by offering advice and stuff. But at some point, she was put back on the payroll not nearly anywhere close to what the full-time salary she once received, but for a period of months, she was receiving a monthly amount, and she was doing, helping with fundraising and social media apparently. So there was not, it wasn't volunteer the whole time. The second went after her return, she did receive money.
We'll look it up. I'll look it up after the show. I couldn't do it right now.
Okay. Magnus had something on.
Invited to the war room?
I'm sorry, Sean.
Is Kelly invited to the war room? Because it seems like she would be
Everybody
able to chime in on that.
except Norman Swainpool.
Good.
Magnus, you also had a comment about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I have it in the previously recording that I said it was sad what you had been through, Craig, the last week, and then I said good luck to Richard Gage and was very quick in the room last meeting. So sorry about to hear all the stuff that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Magnus.
Yeah, it's in the recording. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Kelly, just a quick question: has Kelly ever been in the war room?
Yeah, once. That was for.
No.
Yeah, that was a separate call. It was like a private meeting, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Fair enough.
Typically.
Not on a Sunday at 5. No.
Back to the hands up, and a couple of you lowered your hands, but you had your hands up before, so I'm just going in the stack. Sue.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. Let's remember that 9/11 Truth is grassroots. As such, we are leaderless. And I think a lot of us have gotten in the habit of putting architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth on the altar, because they really pretty much launched 9/11 Truth, but they weren't the first 9/11 Truth organization. And, you know, we have a lot of strong organizations. Unfortunately, because people do put it on the altar, I think they're very hesitant to criticize architects and engineers for what they've been doing in these recent shenanigans, because it's almost like blasphemy. And Craig, I just want to tell you that you know, I think what they did was shitty.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of heat for saying that because they're on the altar. But this should not defer in any way, shape, or form the work we're doing through other organizations as well, like the Lawyers Committee, Boston 9/11 Truth, and you know, Institute for 9/11 Justice, Colorado. There's still a lot of important work to do, and we should not despair about what's going on with architects and engineers.
Very good. Thank you, Sue.
Can I make a quick comment about that?
Hang on. Me first.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's fine.
I did find the 2021 tax. So let's see real quick. 2023, there was only one person shown getting any compensation, and that was Andy Steele, roughly about $54,000. And then in 2021, that's the last one that's available. Or 2023, I just showed you. 2021, let me blow this up a little bit. It's hard to see. Kelly David. How does this work? Oh, that's hours. Forgive me. 94,000 for Kelly in 2021.
$94,000.
94,548. Come on. And then the other ones, they're just showing
That's hours and not dollars.
No. So the first column here is hours per week. It's saying she was putting in 60 hours a week, got 94,000 compensation from the organization, reportable.
So that is money. That is big money. That's a pretty good salary.
Everybody else got nothing.
That's 2022.
This is 2021.
Kelly's on the board of 2.
So let me show you what I found. So this, you can go to the IRS website and search by EIN number, and it shows the copies of the returns, and all that's available is 2023. 22 is not filed, and 21. So that's what I showed you here. This 2021 was just Andy, And in 2023, wait, I'm sorry, I got those backwards. Let me do this. 2023 is just Andy. You go back to 2021, and that was all of this. So
I think she was running it back then, but for the last 2 or 3 years, I think she's been out.
yeah, that was right at the break. So, all right, there's some money. So, all right, who wanted to make the comment? Craig?
Oh, I think I just wanted a quick comment on what Sue said. Now my short-term memory is not what it used to be because now I'm trying to think of what it was.
Me too. Sorry, I had to go.
No, not your fault. Not your fault. I should have a better memory than that. I guess I wanted to clarify, like when we talk about architects and engineers, that you can. What is that exactly? I mean, my criticism is right now with the 2 board members and their actions. I think architects and engineers as a brand and as an organization represents 3,600 petition signers, and there's it is an entity that goes beyond the actions of the 2 remaining board members. So when people say, I'm horrified by some of the recent decisions, but I don't think in terms of, well, architects and engineers is doing bad things. I think I disagree with some people there who are making decisions that I don't think are beneficial to the organization. So I would just try to encourage everybody to make that distinction in your mind, because but I do agree with something that Sue said for sure, which is that, putting people on the altar or I think we have to do the same thing with anybody, any sort of the leaders in our movement. And that, with all due respect, includes Richard. We have to think in terms of, we should be grassroots, and we should not sort of sit back and we shouldn't be about, cheering for celebrities in the movement. And that's not to knock Richard, because Richard has made a tremendous contribution. But in terms of 2025, I mean, it's not about who's the name that we're all going to follow. It should be about a movement. And I would also, when we're talking about other organizations, we shouldn't put other organizations on an altar either. And I would include the International Center. Don't just transfer, the altar, one organization off the altar and put another one on, because that organization has other problematic issues. So that's why the more, we don't even necessarily need groups. I don't think. I think we all do the things that we can do, and even if you're one person, you can make a contribution. Yeah. We don't need to sit back and let large groups sort of do it for us. And I would say, Richard has done very well since 2021. So the things that have been accomplished, were accomplished with him not there. The Kurt Weldon thing, the Ron Johnson thing, turning the tide, all this stuff happened without Richard. So we can do these things whether big groups are leading the way or not.
Yep. Round table, we're all part of this. We're all doing what we want to do. Things resonate with each of us differently. We like to do things differently. Trying to contain that in one group is going to be impossible. So we're still rolling, though. So thank you. Carl.
Thank you. I was just pondering that there must be at least 250 million adults in the United States, and we have 25 people or so on the call. So 1 in 10 million, which is an interesting statistic. But a question about architects and engineers. Of course, the number of signatories on the petition capped out around 3,000 or 3,500. Is that because did 8911 Truth not pursue, for example, setting up college campus chapters to try to enlighten engineering students, or otherwise pursue more engineering and architect involvement? But my real question, and this is for Richard, I'm going to phrase it in the Donald Rumsfeld-esque sort of logic, which is, if it's not about the money, what else is it not about? Because if we know everything it's not about, then we can reason what it must be about. Or if you could just explain what it is about, I think you're protected if, truth is they say an absolute defense against either libel or defamation. So if you can further enlighten us either through the inductive or deductive process, I'd appreciate it.
I don't have any more information other than what I published on our website and sent out by email. I'm still as puzzled as everybody. I'm not going to speculate as to what's going on over there or why the good faith effort stopped. But that is the article that Gene is showing there, that you can learn everything I know about what happened and what didn't happen.
Yeah. And to clarify on your first point, which was, oh my God, what was your first point?
Well, we have 1 in 10 million of adults in the country on this call.
Yeah, no, it was something else. It led to something else.
Well, whether AE 911 had persisted in trying to recruit more engineers and architects, and especially on college campuses, I thought that would have always been a viable target to awaken young people.
Underneath there is also saying that flights are being diverted. They're talking about media staging here.
Mike, mute yourself.
Yeah, sorry.
Here, the next.
The petition link was broken. Richard could tell you more about. They were working with the old Joomla system, I think, and there was a need to transfer everything to WordPress. And the petition was just no longer working, and it was too much work to put in to get it up and running again. So it was stalled there. I'm sure with the intention of eventually getting it back up, but in the meantime, there was no movement.
Yeah. Well, trying to get it work. It looks like it's up, but they still don't have anybody vetting it. It was Xander Arena who did the majority of the vetting, and he was released a while back, so it's unfortunate as well. Anything else?
Well, he wasn't released. He stepped down, I believe, Gene.
Oh.
I don't think he was fired or anything.
I'll have to get back to Xander on that one. Okay, thank you. Ross?
Yeah, not how we wanted.
Yeah, how am I coming out today? Is it clear?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, well, let's, speaking to Craig, I didn't comment partially because of the technical problems, but it's also because none of this is any kind of surprise to me. I mean, it's a good news thing if you want to look at it in a positive light, that AE and so many of these organizations have had members and have members that have been pretty in varying levels very highly captured, and that's obviously coming from somewhere that means that we're really being paid attention to, and they're really nervous about us. So AE, in my view, in 2016, it was over for AE. Very glad that Richard got out of there. Not the way he got out. That wasn't very nice. But and then even somebody like Richard, I mean, we have to watch everybody going forward, because a lot of these good people in the movement I've just seen have been captured. It's very obvious. At some point in time, they get captured. And even that could happen to Richard. I want to see all 10 episodes of the Crime Scene to Courtroom before you can really say, well, yeah, Richard's still not been seriously captured. I mean, even think Richard and captured doesn't necessarily have to be a conscious thing. It can be subconscious. But I think there are forces at play, in the covert community that have gotten heavily involved in 9/11 Truth and all the big organizations for quite a while now. And it's because we've been very successful. I think AE maybe now is at the end, at least the AE that we know now. And so hopefully they do end up getting through this window and getting it back to Richard, and Richard doesn't get captured down the line further or anything. But it's a sign of success too. So, and the other thing, Craig, I didn't say anything because but also it's because, I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, none of this stuff for me even has been a surprise, since 2016. So I just kind of was not in any way shocked or surprised that you got treated so poorly for that reason. But anyway, so yeah, sorry it happened to you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ross. Go to Jerry and Jack, and then I'm going back to the news.
Can I interrupt them, guys, for just a moment? I don't know where the hands up button is. That's my big problem here, guys.
Go ahead.
So I don't think guys like Richard Gage or Andy Steele are going to be captured. And I feel like that these guys are staples in this mission we're on to get truth, and those who did what they done are held accountable. It's the money thing that's dirty, right?
Well, I'm not sure about that anymore now.
Well, in that case, things are going great at architects and engineers because there's no money. So it's the cleanest organization around right now.
And I'm sorry,
I'll disagree. I heard like 90,000 handed out to someone and whatever other numbers.
It's not recent though. That's not recent.
2020.
Gene and Sandra, how much money have you guys received for your efforts in this crusade?
I joked a couple of weeks ago that he made 20 cents off Rumble. I think it was actually $3.20.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much.
No, I don't receive any money.
No, we don't. We're
not an organization.
We could have bought a much bigger house had we not spent all the money we spent on 9/11.
She shocked me when we started going the receipts on how much I spend on 9/11 Truth through the years. Like, I didn't realize this. I'm like, well over $20,000.
Sounds uncompromisable.
No,
in my opinion, like Richard and probably like Andy Steele.
Tens of thousands somewhere.
Tens of thousands, and I would put what Gene has spent in his lifetime at 100, easy, easy. But no, a couple of things. So, Ross, just for the record, you've been alluding to 2016. As if that was the year that Richard left. That was 2021. So I don't know if that's what you meant to convey or not. And
no, I was talking about 2016 actually, but I won't get into the reasons why exactly. Unless you think it's important.
But, and the other thing was, what do you mean by? As asked because we were on mute. Say, what do they mean by being captured? Like, what does captured like? As in. Bought out?
Well, it means
captured as money.
It means you're out.
Yeah,
it means
money.
Like RFK Jr. Not just necessarily money, but being approached by the covert agencies. They've noticed you've made an impact in the community, and they say, "Hey, notice you're doing really well there. But you know what? We've got a different agenda that we think you might want to follow, and if you do,
and where do you think this is going?"
And so there's another agenda you might want to follow, and you could do very well if you follow it. And if you decide no, you're going to stay on your same course without listening to us, you're going to have problems. And that's what I think has happened to that happens with a lot of the big fish.
I guess what's happening with Megyn Kelly right now. She's right in that crease.
Yeah, I know, but you brought up Richard, and I'm just like that. That's why it baffled me, because I thought I knew what captured meant, and then you said Richard, and it's like, well, are you? I mean, Rich, and you're here, Richard. You can weigh in, and I'm like, why? What? I just had a what? Like what? Like Richard could be bought out by the authority, like by the powers that be? Is that what you're saying? Because to me that's an impossibility. So I don't know what you were trying to say with that.
I can interject something very useful about RFK Jr. as being captured.
Hold on. Let's go back to Richard. Let's go back to Richard.
Yeah.
I've never been offered any money or given any threats. I don't have that experience to draw on.
You're not a CIA agent, Richard?
No affiliation.
The government's paying you millions of dollars.
On the record. Thank you.
I'm lucky to pay my mortgage.
Yeah, we know.
Each month. Sometimes I can't, and I call out for help when that happens.
Yeah, he's in the same boat as Kurt Weldon. They're still making mortgage payments.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, sir. To Jerry.
Yeah, I dug out that form I was talking about, and it's the 990 form, and I don't understand finances, so it's the 990 form, return for organisation exempt from income tax, right, 2021, and it says gross receipts are 1,323,921. And the contributions.
What year?
That's the form for 2021, right? So it's a
Well,
32 page.
Gene showed
32
us the 990.
Yeah,
So I don't know
well,
what you're
it's
looking at there.
32 pages, right? I could give you the number of the form if you like. It's employer identification 2615324993.
Yeah, I got it. But
Can
what?
you put it in the chat?
I got
And
it
it's
up on the screen. I just need to know what page.
These are the only numbers that
Page
mean
one-
anything are the
hang on,
990.
Page 1 of 32, right? Says contributions and grants.
Ah.
Prior year, $1,251,432.
Well, that's
Current year says 979,773. Right? So the revenues are 1.234 million and 1.192 million. And the expenses are 1,059,000 for the prior year. And no, sorry, for the current year, and 1,268,000.
Gene, can you show what he's reading?
I'm totally.
Or-
But what's interesting is when you're online and it says number of pages, it shows page 30 of 32. It won't show me
Yeah,
page 31 and 30.
I've got the whole 32 pages here that I'm looking at.
Can you drag and drop it in the chat?
Can I do that with a PDF?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll do that right now then.
Because it's only letting me see up to page 30. Oh, here's page 31.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think Richard's been taken. I tried to bribe him with a pint of beer one time in Edinburgh.
There you go. Jerry just dropped it in there. Let me open this up.
Didn't work, right? So there's the.
Give me one second.
Those numbers would be reflected on the earlier pages, I would think, of
Yeah,
the
on page
990
one.
if they were true.
No, this is a different. This is because this only has 24 pages that you just sent, Jerry.
Let's try the next one. They've sent two.
Oh, there's 2021. Try this one. And then I got to move on because I still got, there we go, 2023, 24 pages.
24.
Yeah. That's so weird.
Mine says 37 and one of 32, and that's the two files that I just sent. OMB number, the one that I was talking about there, right at the top right, the first page.
The top right, it says 2023.
2023. Right. Is there one that said, does the other one say, my two here say 2020 and 2021.
Well, maybe we should analyze this.
Yeah, I'll do this another time.
And not all money, not all dark money is documented. But let's continue on your last two news articles.
Yes, shall we?
Yeah,
I did tell Jack.
I didn't get to speak yet.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack, and then I'm going. Jack, and then I'm going to news, and then I'll get the rest of the hands. Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, I think Richard isn't understanding how serious the people are who are, how malevolent they are. They obviously don't care about 9/11 truth. And I think he should just demand an election. He shouldn't have given back the passwords and demand an election, which he will win. It'll happen. And they can make up all kinds of rules that people can't vote for 6 months and all this shit. I can make up all kinds of rules. Is anyone going to pay attention to them? And the people who did 9/11 caused the death of several million people, and terrible things happen. So these people are not honest, trustworthy, or anything. They're willing to do very nasty things. And I don't think we should deal with anyone who gets in the way of 9/11 truth with honor. They're obviously doing a bad thing. It's like if a bad guy's coming to stab you, you have to take action. You can't say, well, can't we discuss this? No, you have to take action, kick his knife out or whatever. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. All right, last two news articles. International Center for 9/11 Justice, 9/11 Truth Ascending, taking stock after a watershed 24th anniversary. It was a chat between Ted, Pierce Robinson, Richard, and Madhava Sethi. In episode 3 of the podcast, Ted Walters, I just said all that. Let me just see the topics covered. If If you guys want to check this, we haven't gotten to see it yet, but Reflections on Turning the Tide 2025 and the Strategy of Building Broad Alliances, the Charlie Kirk assassination and how real-time public analysis is reshaping awareness, Senator Ron Johnson's proposed 9/11 hearings and the report he has tasked the 9/11 Truth Movement to prepare, Tucker Carlson's 5-part series and its role in mainstreaming 9/11 skepticism, and the convergence of COVID, JFK, pro-Palestine, anti-war America First, and the 9/11 truth communities into a shared movement. So I think it is interesting with all of the things that's happened in the last 5 years. It's ripe for 9/11 truth to start to be noticed and people to question what's going on there. So we just keep praying for better days ahead. And last thing I wanted to share with everyone, some of you may remember this document from 2018. The Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry presented after 2 dates. First, they submitted 57 exhibits for the controlled demolition of buildings 1, 2, and 7 to the Southern District of New York, the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. It was Jeffrey Berman. So you see the 2 dates there. April 10th was 57 exhibits. Then he added 3 more on July 30th. Total of 60 exhibits for the controlled demolition of 1, 2, and 7. Berman didn't do anything with it. We were kind of like, well, maybe someday something will happen. And talking to Kurt Weldon, he was very familiar with Jay Clayton. He knew Jay Clayton had been an intern for him in his younger years and everything. Said, well, time's not right. We might try to approach that. Maybe Jay Clayton will review these documents now. It's not that we have to resubmit them. They're there on the shelf collecting dust. And maybe Jay Clayton will do it. So Jay Clayton is the U.S. State's Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Mr. Clayton assumed that role in August of 2025, having previously served as interim U.S. Attorney beginning in April of 2025. Well, my hope was kind of dashed. That's a good word. Whitney Webb put this out just today, a couple hours ago. I'm just going to read it. The Clayton appointment is so unreal. Jeffrey Berman was pressured to step down by the first Trump admin roughly a year after prosecuting Epstein in 2019. As I recall, it was around the time when Berman was targeting Steve Bannon. Bill Barr tried to have Clayton replace him in 2020, but was unsuccessful. Clayton spent the time waiting to be ushered into the position by Trump earlier this year at Epstein associate Leon Black's Apollo Global, in a board position they seemingly made just for him. In other words, Clayton is the guy the first Trump administration and Bill Barr specifically wanted to replace the people who had Epstein and later Maxwell arrested. And when they couldn't do it, a super rich Epstein associate gave him tons of money, and now he's been installed in that position to investigate Epstein. How stupid do they think we are? So now I'm like, is Jay Clayton a good guy, or is he going to turn out to be another cover-up guy, gatekeeper? So follow Whitney Webb. She gets into it pretty deep. I'll put a link.
Could you put that in the chat for us?
Sure. Let me do it real quick.
Thank you.
Copy link, and I'll just say Whitney or Webb Clayton.
I'll raise this at our next Lawyers Committee meeting.
And there we go. All right. Thanks,
Good
Barb.
find. Good find.
That's all I had for the news. So the table's open. We're going to go on with hands. Mike Cook.
Hey, just informational. I had problems raising my hand too in the past. If you go to the bottom, bring your cursor down, there's a react button with a heart on it. Click on that and you can raise and lower your hand if it works right. Whatever money AE is taking in, I'd be interested in also knowing the operational costs, right? What it costs to run the show, so how much is surplus and where it's been going. Somebody said something about Richard Gage not being there at the time all this stuff was breaking out. Well, it was his years and years and years of dedication and work. He didn't have to be there at the time. It was all done. And just something I have noticed in my life, that anytime there's a big surplus of money or not enough money, it's a problem, you know. Thank you.
We all suffer that, yes. And good job writing it down so you could remember what to say. I love it. Thank you.
Can we go around with this here right quick? I'll do my...
Oh, yeah. You got the firefighters for 9/11 Truth. Good.
I went to get a pizza yesterday, and I had the shirt on, and it came out to $9.11. She said $9.11, and I was paying for it. The guy behind me was like, well, that's appropriate. Looking at the back of the shirt, and I said, you know, and he's like, yeah, I know, I'm with you guys 1,000%.
Right
I
on.
said, well, do you know everything that's going on and you want to get involved? He just kind of put his back to me and just walked away and said, no, 1,000%, you know. There's a lot of people that know that just don't want to get involved. I don't know why.
Yep.
I would think it would be self-preservation, you know.
Nice to know they're out there, though. Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, it was cool. You're welcome.
Sue?
Yeah, couple of things. The 990s are quite complicated, and they're regulated. There's several 990 forms. I'm familiar with the 990, the simple 990, which isn't simple. It's the hardest one there is. And that's regulated by the government if there is revenue of over $200,000. So if you have less than that, it's the 990 EZ. If you're a private foundation, it's the 990 PF. So they are quite complicated, and it is quite complicated to run a 501c3 because you have to, especially if it's national, you have to register with, you know, just about every state in the union, which is very expensive because each one of those states has a charge to register every year. So the expenses really do mount up. And it's by necessity. It's not a choice. If you're a national nonprofit, 501c3. So just wanted to point that out. Also, the listing of paid amounts to other people, that's only, you only list those who are on the board or an officer. You don't list all the others. You know, people who work, you know, you hire to do the website, you hire to do the accounting. They have to have 1099s, and that could add up quite a bit too. But that is also detailed in a lump sum on the 990. So you can go through it with a, you know, a fine-tooth comb and see where money came in and money came out, at least by categories. So I just wanted to point that out because I do the 990s for nonprofits. The other thing is about Richard being captured. Richard, if you were to retire from 9/11 Truth and return to architecture, how much money do you think you'd make?
Oh, I was at 100,000 when I left architecture to work full time. I was at 100,000 in Berkeley in 2007.
I think that clears it up.
Oh, I think I just figured out what Jerry was saying here. There's this line right here. This is the 2023 990 return. Gifts, grants, contributions, and membership fees received. In 2019, 784,000. 2020, 1.2. 970. So it's like 2022, 500,000. 2023 it starts to decline. This number, this 3.7 million, that's total of 19.
For 5 years.
22, 23. Yes.
Jerry, that was you would have seen that when you were talking about these numbers. Why didn't you bring that point out?
No, that's not the page that, sorry, that's not the page it was talking about. That's contributions, right? If you look at page 1 of the 990 form, it says gross receipts for 2021 is 1.3 million. Salaries are 465K. And other expenses are 718. For 2021, I don't know if that's the same one you're looking at.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not casting any aspersions. I'm telling you what I'm seeing.
I think you're raising
right?
you're raising a point which we should get to the bottom of because it doesn't.
Look there, prior year, right? 1,251,000 contributions and grants.
Total revenue.
No, that's contributions and grants. Total revenues further up at 1.3.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But then it says that salaries are 500. This is a different year, actually. It says there it's a higher year. Salaries are 511,000 and their other expenses are 455,000.
Is this
So
architects and engineers?
So yeah, I didn't see the other bit that
Yeah,
you're
this is-
talking about, Richard, because that's just grants. This is showing your totals for the year, and that's what I was talking about.
Well, that's just surprising to me. Is all I'm saying.
Well,
I
well,
was-
wait a minute, because you're saying to me that you must have seen that then, if that's what you were talking about, and no, I'm telling you the bit that I did see. So quite bluntly, when architects and engineers took in this amount of money at that time, right, that was 2 years after you said, yeah, we could spend £1 million on doing an analysis in the towers. And we could, I'm not saying we could have, right? But since at that time you got all the drawings, you got 2 SAP models, it wouldn't have cost all of that. And I mean, sort of, that's what it says. Look, the current year there, 1.25 million.
Yeah, it's 2020, but let's scroll down and see if they list it. Where is
So I kind of resent the implication that I was being selective in what I was saying, or on what I was picking out, or that I was cherry picking figures that were 5 years added up, when they're not. They're the receipts for that year.
Where the heck is
And
it?
that's what it says. So I kind of resent that a little bit, Richard, because remember, you and I were on a show.
We were what?
Me and you were on a show, and you said, yeah, I'd love to do an analysis in the North Tower, but it would probably cost about £1 million.
Yeah.
And then 6 years later, I'm getting told by the head of AE 911, the then head of AE 911, that we've never heard of these drawings. And did you even get them? And have you even got a team? So yeah, I mean, I've kind of kept my mouth shut about that. But the implication that you said tonight was that I'd taken that figure from lower down, and I must have seen that, and I was adding 5 years of grants, which I wasn't. I was looking at the top figure that says revenue for the year, revenue for the previous year.
Here we go.
Salaries over £500,000.
This is that same form. Get down. So yeah, Richard and Kelly, it says 121. So that totals 240.
Yeah, another 300,000. And by the way, Richard, if you were getting 121 grand a year, right? I think that's a bargain. I think you earn that.
Yeah.
I'm not decrying that. What I'm saying is that an organization that takes in 1.25 million in a year can afford to do an analysis on the towers, and it would have led. You could bet your bottom dollar that AE 911 now seem to be down to that if the organization, I don't mean to keep saying you, right? If the organization had spent that money wisely on an analysis of the North Tower, you would have continued to have those kind of receipts. Or
Thank
more.
you, Jerry. I got it. Made your point, and I guess my question would be: it only, it says 511. If roughly half of that was to Richard and Kelly, then where did the other half go? Because they didn't list anybody else receiving any.
Well, projects, right?
Oh, okay.
I mean, we raise funds to do projects.
Yep.
What project?
And then we have.
No, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. You were on a podcast with me, Richard. You said, yeah, I'd love to do it. Now that you've got these drawings, we'd love to do an analysis in the North Tower.
Yeah, you
Right,
made. The point. I don't want to belabor that.
Yeah, well, sure.
Jerry, for what it's worth, the structural engineers that I turned over to you to do that analysis were Casey and Kamal and Roland, and their relationship with you did not go well, and that's why
it didn't because they were never there. They weren't interested.
Well, whatever their
to-
reasons were, they're the structural engineers, and
Yeah,
the project.
absolutely. Absolutely. They're structural engineers, but they didn't do your Building 7 project. It was Alaska that did that. When you were on that podcast with me, you said, yeah, we'd love to do it and we'd love to use the LS Dyna platform to do it. And it would probably cost about £1 million, $1 million, sorry.
You let
to do
Richard
it.
answer because you keep interrupting him.
I'm just saying, it's not my project. It's their project and your project, and it didn't go well. Don't blame it on me. You have a way of fucking these things up and with people, and that's what happens.
That's unfair. I've never taken a penny from anybody in my life, Richard.
I'm not talking
Ever.
about
No,
money.
Hang on a second. I have never taken a penny from anybody in my life, right?
I'm talking about your
No,
personality.
listen. What I'm saying to you is I got you the drawings. I got
Yes.
you a full height SAP model of the North Tower, and I got
Yes.
you a full floor model of the
Yes.
of the tower, right? It's not up to me to do any more than that.
And it's
As
not
you
up to
say-
me either,
as you
Jerry.
say, no, listen, as you say, I'm not a structural engineer,
And
right?
neither am I.
Right, okay, but fair enough. But with $1.25 million, you can find somebody who is. Certainly when you're armed with 2 SAP models and a full set of drawings, because architects and engineers never even asked
Well,
for
we had
those drawings
Guys,
once.
what I hear is that the ball, Richard
Yeah,
delegated.
he's saying that I fucked it up.
Jerry,
That's what
please let me know.
he's saying that I
Okay.
fucked it up. That's totally unfair.
Well, your
That's
writing
totally- you're
shows
right out of order,
proves
Richard.
that.
You're
What
right
I'm-
Your
out of
writing
order.
proves that. I can just publish all your writings that prove it.
Well,
Now
you do that because you publish your accounts and they say you took in $1.25 million in a year, don't they?
Okay, what I'm hearing is that Richard delegated authority and passed that ball on to responsible people that should have followed up with it. And the interaction with you, for whatever reason, broke down and they did not complete carrying the ball on that. And that's just where it is. We can hope for better days that Richard is back at the helm of AE 911 Truth, and we could see what projects might happen. But as Richard pointed out, really, we have all of the evidence that we need in Leroy Halsey's model. It would be nice to have models of 1 and 2, but right now, with that, is the return of investment on that worth it? Is the big
Well, I would say yes. I would say yes, right? When you look at the amount of money that Richard just attributed there to projects,
but
when
now
you
they don't have
consider-
that money anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So where is it?
Yeah.
And what projects did it
It
get
went-
spent on? Because it wasn't the Alaska project.
Well, there were several projects going on, and we can find out what they were. And they were
$500,000.
They were
Yeah.
higher priority than, for me personally, than the modeling of the Twin Towers,
So
which
what-
I think
what
is
engineering thing did
a
they
money
accomplish?
sink.
What did they
I don't think that would
accomplish
go any
engineering?
further than the Halsey report took us. So personally, I think that money has a better options.
Thank you, Richard. Jerry, did you want to
I
respond?
thought
I had to mute.
I
Hang
thought Kamal
Yeah,
was
yeah.
guys, please stop.
considered unreliable.
If I can, yeah.
Okay, there you go, Jerry. Any response, Jerry?
Yeah, I took it upon myself to build a relationship with NIST and to obtain a full set of drawings for these towers. I
Yeah,
managed to get a hold of 2 finite element models in SAP 2000 for these towers. That puts you much, much closer to getting this analysis done than you were than starting with nothing. To turn
Yeah.
around and tell me in a public forum that I fucked it up when it comes to getting a finite element analysis done for the towers.
I didn't say that.
No, you did say that. Let's go
I
back and
said
have a
you
listen
fucked
to
up the
it.
relationships with our
Yeah.
structural engineers. They
Listen,
wouldn't talk to you.
they wouldn't talk to me in the first place, and that's why it fucked up.
That
Right?
could be.
Bluntly, they would, because they weren't talking to me because I was doing all the work. I can tell you what the column cross-sectional area is at 5 different parts of these towers.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else that you know can tell you
I
that.
appreciate you, Jerry. I appreciate Richard.
I don't appreciate
know
being
that-
told I fucked something up.
Yeah, I think there's no love between Roland Angle, rest in peace, and well, yeah, he's an atheist, so I don't even know how you say that. Rest wherever. And Jerry, they just did not like each other. It was oil and vinegar, and that's unfortunate because Jerry has a lot of good knowledge and information. So thank you, guys. I got to move on.
He does.
Greg.
Thank you, Jerry, for your contributions. I hope we can make use of them in the future.
I thought Roland Angle was, I'm sorry, Kamal is not a trustworthy person.
Okay.
He's not on the right side.
Okay. Jack, I don't know. These little comments coming in, people, please. Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to clarify from that was mentioned earlier. First of all, I wanted to make a point, that there were donors that used to donate to architects and engineers that some left and some were kind of encouraged to leave to go to other entities in the movement. And so the fact that, so that played a part in the difficulties that the organization has had in more recent times. But I did want to make a point. And also, I wanted to mention too that you guys are looking at that form, and I mean, from what I understand, and I'm not an expert on those forms, that's just the board members whose compensation is listed. So there were other salaries too. So it's not just like everything else besides that, is available for, there were other people working. Anyway, the reason I raised my hand again is because the comment was made about. I think it might have been Jack, I'm not sure, about Kelly changing the rule or the Kelly and Kamal changing the rule about the 2-month thing at the last minute. This was not at the last minute. This rule, it is my understanding. I didn't originally know the year it was implemented, voted on, but it goes back to 2016. And I think Richard has conceded that he was aware of it and voted for it. So it's not where I have a problem with it is when Kelly was brought back to the board, as I explained in my article, they waived that rule for her. So it's a little bit ironic that she couldn't waive it for Richard and company. And so that's peculiar. But in fairness, the rule itself did exist, and it was there and known to all concerned. But it is weird that it gets sort of pulled out, and enforced kind of at the last minute. I don't think that was made much sense. But anyway, I just want to clarify that.
Good comment. Thank you.
Well, one question for Andy, Craig, about that is, did Andy have to wait to vote also? Can you find that out? Because that would be important.
Well, did Andy? Oh, you mean when he first was put on the board?
Yeah.
I believe so. I believe he and Jeff Long both waited the 2-month period. Yes. That's what Andy told me anyway.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Go to Sean Nagel. You're muted. I'll ask unmute, make it a little easier for you there. There it is.
Hit the wrong button. I found the hands up. I just want to say, I don't think Richard is compromisable. I don't think this war room is compromisable, because everyone who shows up here has an interest in the truth, and not everyone has an interest in the truth.
Right on. Thanks, Sean. Chuck.
Okay. I did take some notes.
Right on.
Yeah, try to be efficient. And
thank you.
So I watched last week's show, and I made comments in the Rumble. And the news highlights that really captured me were the Rupert discussion of Dick Cheney, that Dick Cheney basically did 9/11. It wasn't Mossad. The firemen told the story of South Tower coming down and running, and the wind and the sound. And so I think the truth movement, in our broad movement, if there's going to be such a thing, has to be agnostic on exactly what technology was used to annihilate the buildings. And so we have to speak to the evidence. I don't think we should say explosives made the buildings collapse. I don't think we should say the buildings collapsed, nor pancaked, since that wouldn't actually be accurate. I think we should say the buildings were turned to dust through unknown technology. So we need to explain the high winds and the sounds. I don't think we can say those sounds and the winds came from collapsing buildings because the buildings turned to dust. I think we should build a consensus around a claim of treason against the people that did this. And that goes back to the news report from last week from Rupert, who says Cheney and Secret Service ran this parallel deep state continuity of government operation and did the deed. So we should be asserting treason against Cheney. And I think there's a consensus for that. And I'd like to know if anybody objects to saying that we in the Truth Movement should communicate alleged treason charges for the 9/11, for covering up the crime, say why you would object. I'd like to know. Chuck out.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. I got a few comments about that. One, not all collapses are demolitions, but all demolitions have a collapse. So a demolition is a type of collapse. It's just nuances in words. And two, to say that we should be agnostic and then say that it turned to dust and it's a directed energy weapon is not being agnostic. We can be, by searching through the evidence, that active thermitic chips were found in the dust. It may not have been the primary mechanism, but it was a mechanism as part of the demolition collapse that happened to the towers.
Sure.
You can also say that there were explosions because 4-ton steel panels do not eject laterally between 50 and 80 miles an hour by anything other than an explosion. Not even a directed energy weapon could do that.
And they did not turn to dust.
And they
Exactly.
Nothing.
They did not turn to dust.
Nothing demolecular.
Yes, they did.
Hang on. Don't interrupt me. Because there are not a bunch of steel molecules laying all over the ground. There was no steel molecules found in the dust. There were iron spheres found in the dust, which was a byproduct. If you throw one of these active thermitic chips in a calorimeter, close it up, closed system, and you heat it up and you open it up, there's an iron microsphere. It came from the active thermitic chips. That's all I'm going to say about that. But thank you. Going on to Carl.
Well, Cheney is easy to indict because he's dead. So I'm not sure that works. But I want to ask Richard to stop accusing people either of retroactively having fucked up or that something they might feel led to pursue would be fucking things up, because that assumes a position of authority that, I just don't think there's a hierarchy to the herd of cats here. There's a pretty small herd at that. But Richard, I think among the best things that's ever happened in your life probably is moving to Idaho and marrying Gail. I mean, I was privileged to attend your wedding and could not help but shed a tear. It was a beautiful moment. But in terms of running a organization, a nonprofit with more than $1 million in cash flow revenue, was it a fuck up to move from the headquarters physical area to Idaho? Because, Zoom is not the same as being there. And didn't that facilitate people kind of staging a coup against you?
I don't think so.
Have you checked housing prices and the conditions on the street in San Francisco lately?
Thanks, Carl.
Well, let's just stop accusing one another of having fucked up or fucking up potentially, please.
Fair enough. Thank you. We all do. I mean, I've effed it up a bunch of times. I'm trying less to do that. We just put our foot in our mouth sometimes and we come off rough with certain people, or we're not, we're thinking we're speaking the best interest. Just one example, and I don't mean to poke you. This is an example that came to mind. In the last Tap Talk, and I'm not alluding that this was a fuck up. Excuse my language. Mike Zarzano had said, hey, we have this website, Killing 9/11. And a lady in the chat said, hey, I really think you should rename that because it provides like a negative connotation to the whole situation we're trying to find truth for. I've gotten about the War Room. So many people wanted me to change the name of the 9/11 War Room. We're a peace movement. I don't like how you have 9/11 war. It's not about war. But I use it as an opportunity to say this is a space where we strategize and move forward with how we're going to perform the activism. I'm not endorsing violence at all. So there's just my thought. Anyways, yeah. Ross.
Yeah, okay, so a little Edward Bernays type of approach here. Yeah, the language is important because it's not, technically it's not, well, this word can mean this, that word can mean that. It's what does this society in general as a broad whole feel emotionally when they hear certain words. Now, collapse to me emotionally means it's a gravitational failure. Gravity makes things collapse. Explosives make things explode. Okay. What we saw was the towers explode. All right. So in terms of, the emotional, simple definition of words, collapse is the wrong word to use, even if you can say it technically that it was part of a demolition. Okay. So let's just move on from that. Richard asserted that, well, there's not much of a difference between the Twin Towers modeling and World Trade Center 7, not a priority. Well, I talked to Richard about that back in 2018. Said, there's a danger with going with 7 because you know what? Nobody cares about the building 7. Nobody died, okay, and they weren't at all beautiful architecturally. The World Trade Center was emotional, and that's the key point about 9/11 is the towers, not all the people, not the firefighters and everything. Those towers were iconic buildings in history, architecturally, far more important than anything World Trade Center 7 could ever mean, no matter how stupid World Trade Center 7 was, what they did, the mistakes there. So there's a huge difference there. So I think that they made a mistake at A&E when they did decide, well, let's go for the World Trade Center 7. Again, nobody was killed there. We know how many people were killed in towers. Nobody cares about 7 in terms of architecturally. A lot of people cared about the towers. All right, so that right there was a huge mistake, if you ask me. But anyway, let's go to the Twin Towers and what the other people were discussing. I think I can bring everybody onto a page here. Maybe we can move forward, which is that we had that evidence from Niels Harrit, and I know that's important because I was there and I experienced that stuff firsthand when I picked up the dust. Okay, the smell and the heat and all the things that were in it that I have in the dust that I've looked at too. And so all you have to do is I asked Jonathan Cole in his speech with the Boston is I said, well, let's just approach it like you got this job to, you got a request for bid to blow up these towers, which somebody got. Okay. And that would have entailed a lot of drawings and a lot of other drawings that none of us have seen. As Gene would know, that definitely would entail a lot of effort in drawings and calculations and or scheduling and just a huge amount of effort if it's a contractor that's going to get that job. First thing you do, and I'm, as me being one of those contractors and designers and engineers, is okay, you get this request for proposal. The first thing you do, what is it, Gene? You tell me. First thing you do.
Sorry,
well, I'll tell you. I'm kind of greedy, so the first thing I do is, how big a job is this? Okay, and I bet you anyone around this room that's in that kind of position, that's been in that position, would agree with me. The first thing you do, you start getting greedy and you say, "Oh man, how big a job is this?" Okay, so Jonathan Cole mentioned he didn't do any kind of RFP or anything on his analysis of his proposals, his hypothesis, because it would take too much time to actually complete that. And he's right about that. I mean, it would take a lot of time and you would have to spend that money that they spent on Halsey doing that, but you take a lot of time, but not for the first, you could take 1 hour, 2 hours to quantify the evidence from the dust from the Niels Harrit and everybody else, and they give you the numbers. You can take 1 or 2 hours and figure out how big a job that was. Okay. And that in the bid, and that number will tell you that it's 200 acres worth of red gray chips, and 90% of them blew up.
That's
10%.
assuming that you have to put it on every single floor.
That's what I'm saying, because you've got that amount of
assuming.
that in the dust. It shows they did put it on every single floor.
That's an assumption.
Because of what the dust samples say with the iron microspheres and the red gray chips, which are the same thing. But the red gray chips didn't all explode. That's like I'm saying about a 10% error, from 2 to 10% is what my assumption is.
But you can't.
Okay.
All
so the rest become, I'm sorry, you're kind of breaking up, but the iron microspheres part of it shows that it would have had to been in that ballpark of every floor being coated by that thickness of a chip to get that amount of iron microspheres in the end of the day, in the dust, in that dust pile. And every floor blew up eventually, because we know that because of the thickness of the dust pile. So let's go move on and say, hey, okay, it couldn't have been, you have to apply that coating in a factory. It doesn't get applied after the fact on site. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. Jack and Magnus and Jetty and Craig, and then we're going to go around the room.
Well, I want to disagree with Ross a little bit, having been in the military. There are ways to do something like this, like a war. And the CIA and the FBI analyze everybody in the military, and they find out people who are corrupt, and they don't necessarily fire them. They just keep a list. And when the time comes, they're called on to do things like this. And I just want to repeat myself. I know nobody will like it, but if Kamal is not trustworthy, we should not quote him against Jerry, because Jerry is 100% trustworthy. And that's my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Jack. Magnus?
I was just wondering, do we have time for a few seconds of the video here?
Heck yeah. We haven't seen him in a while. I think I got my computer back under. Let's see. What do you got? I do.
50 minutes into the video. 50 minutes into the video.
50 minutes. I'm looking.
I'm just raising it. It's the latest.
And while commercial's playing through, you're going to set it up. What are you going to be listening to here?
Pierce Robinson and some of the stuff he was talking about, World Trade Center 7. It's the latest link in the chat. I resend it.
All right, here we go. 50 minutes.
Thank you.
Here we go.
What we've been told regarding 9/11.
World Trade Center 7 is definitely the Achilles heel of the whole 9/11 narrative. I read a study that, and I forgot now the exact numbers, but more than 80-something, 87, whatever % of Americans do not know that a third building that was not hit by an airplane collapsed that day in New York. And when I speak, I build this in sometimes, I ask the audience, and I think it's even less. Sometimes I have one person in the whole audience knowing the fact that World Trade Center 7 collapsed. In this context, I always like to mention Professor Tulsi from the Alaska University, who studied this whole thing for 7 years. And I think he said that any of his sophomores with a stopwatch could prove that World Trade Center 7 can't have come down on an office fire, because exactly as you said, because there was an element, not completely, but there was an element of free fall in this symmetrical collapse, which, according to the official report, was caused by one of those, what is almost 90 columns has weakened. Yeah. But more interesting, and coming back to you with the question, yeah, more interesting is how the whole propaganda machine kind of erased World Trade Center 7 even from the first official report. It wasn't even mentioned. It was mentioned the first time, 7 years later. So what does
that good, Magnus? Yep, thank you. And it didn't skip or anything, so I think we're good now. And I will put this, I didn't even know that this existed 3 days ago. Tucker. Excellent. I will add this in the show notes. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, maybe his audience is, I don't know where they're coming from, but I mean, poll after poll we've done shows that the number of people who are aware of the collapse of or of 7 in general is rising. It's, I think the last poll we did
was over 50%.
set it at about 50%.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot lower, and I would think and hope that all the work we've done over the years has collectively raised awareness about World Trade Center 7. It would suck that in 2025 we're still comparing numbers polled out of 2008. So the numbers are going on now with Tucker. Basically, I mean, that's his line, right? Whatever happened to Building 7? I would think that it's even higher now. I would love to see a poll right now.
But thank you, Magnus, for sharing that. It was Thomas.
Gene, could you put that in the chat too?
Yeah, Thomas Carrot, behavior analyst, interviewing Pierce Robinson. I will put that in the chat right now, and we'll go to Jerry.
Yeah, I wanted to address this notion that an analysis of Building 7 is enough. It clearly isn't. That guy there, just right on cue, said so much a percentage of people in America don't even know what Building 7 is. So to turn around and say, and to say, well, the two buildings that everybody
As soon as myself and some colleagues started looking at that, as soon as myself and some colleagues
that is in the background there.
I muted.
So the notion that to be able to say that Building 7's enough, this analysis on Building 7 should be enough, when whatever percentage it is, and I hope it, like Sandra said, that it's rising, right? 70–80% of people are unaware of what Building 7 is. How many people are unaware of what the Twin Towers is, and what kind of impact would an analysis on it have? For anybody, especially you, Richard, to turn around and say, yeah, the analysis on Building 7's enough. It's to dismiss the family members apart from anything else, because don't they deserve a report as well? Don't they deserve an analysis into the buildings where their family members died? Because those are the buildings that people know. They're the buildings that people care about, and quite bluntly, they're the buildings that people are more likely to be engaged in a report on. And I'm sitting here just now looking at the cross-sectional area of the core and the perimeter columns at actually 5 different points in the Twin Towers. I've never taken a penny from anybody. I've never been given $1.25 million. My team came up with the Building 7 analysis in 2012. And it turns out we were right. And yeah, the Alaska project, that has weight and that matters. But my point being is that it's time. It takes time. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at figures just now that you've never seen. And the reason that you've never seen them is because the two guys that you sent to me when I got the drawings and when we had the proposal were entirely incompetent in the way that they approached it. They didn't know what a transfer truss was in the floor system 3 years later, after having had these drawings for 3 years. So if you think that they would last 2 minutes on a team that I was running, then you're wrong, and you've got me figured wrong. And if you think you can put the responsibility on me to say, well, yeah, I delegated this to 2 people and sent them to you, and you kind of fucked that up. If you think you can put that responsibility on me, I'm going to show you just how wrong you are, because you made a mistake saying, no, you made a mistake saying that to me tonight, sir. And I've never called you sir before. That should tell you something. You made a big mistake talking to me like that tonight.
All right. Well, I think it was just it takes 2 to dance, and if there's an argument between 2 people, it's I'm sure some of that blame is on Roland Angle, because he wasn't. And to hear that Kamal Obeid doesn't know anything about the towers and doesn't like to speak on the towers because he doesn't know about the towers, in my opinion, this is my opinion, he should be dismissed from 8911 Truth on that ground alone. Like, how can you be in that organization this long and not be able to speak intelligibly about World Trade Center 1 or 2? That was kind of just struck me really hard there. Well, one thing we've heard, I forget what documentary it came from, where we say if we can prove that 7 came down in controlled demolition, then it makes everybody wonder, well, what about 1 and 2? And we were all hanging on that. And the fact that whatever it is, 50% of the people or 8% of the people don't know about Building 7. If more people knew about Building 7 and knew about the study, because nobody published to any great degree, none mainstream media went, oh, this UAF study, nobody put it out there. Finally, Tucker, after all these years, puts it out. So it was just raising awareness to let them know that this study's out there. And I am completely, and I handed it to Ron Johnson the day of Turning the Tide, walked up to him and handed him the front cover of the NIST final WTC7 report and saying, here's a lie. Here is a model shown on the front that doesn't match video evidence at all. Instead of us trying to have the burden of proof, proving why our theory seems most reasonable, NIST should be put on the hot seat, showing why they're putting a lie that doesn't resemble anything that day. They lied on the cover to us. So.
Yeah, and 7 has the advantage, if you want to call it that, of the 2.5 seconds of free fall. The towers, they have, 60% acceleration, but that 2.5 seconds is just so critical and so damning because there's just no way around that at all, if you're sincere. And because the fact that nobody died there, if that's true, but that makes it kind of safe. Where exactly that, the emotions are not involved in it.
I can see what Jerry's saying there. Nobody died in it. That could be a disadvantage. It could be an advantage for some things and a disadvantage. Ultimately, Jerry, I'm in your corner. I really would like to see the Building 1 and 2 models, but I don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Jerry. I mean, emotionally, the towers are what resonate.
Yes.
That's what people saw. That's where the victims' families are focused on. There's a million reasons to focus on the towers as well. You can make a case for both, but let's just, by whatever means necessary, let's just expose the truth as much as possible.
All right, we're going to Craig. Oh, wait.
I'd like to respond to that.
Go ahead.
There are several things I agree with Jerry about, and the lack of knowledge of our structural engineers that we had at AE 911 Truth is certainly one of them. When I said that you messed things up, what I was referring to was your personality, which I have lived with now for 10 years, and it was a real problem, and it turned a lot of people off. And so, thank you for accepting that. I'm one of the victims of your personality. I have direct experience. Gene and Sandra were there. They experienced it as well. That's what I was referring to. Nobody has more knowledge than Jerry Burns with regard to the structure of the towers. He's enlightened all of us to a great degree.
I second that.
But we do have a difference of opinion on what strategy will work in order to get this through to the public. The public could care less about the Halsey report. Yes, Tucker picked it up and put it out there for us after us having given it to 435 congressmen on 2 separate occasions who did nothing with it. We're glad that Tucker put it out there, and who knows, maybe if we do a Twin Towers dynamic analysis, he'll put that out there too. I mean, that would be good. I'm not saying it doesn't merit. I'm just saying if I had $1 million, which we never did, to put into that project, I think I'd rather wake up the public than take a gamble on trying to get the attention of other structural engineers, because they paid no attention whatsoever to the Halsey report. So it's a tough call, and I think Jerry has some really good points, and I apologize for using that language to you, Jerry.
Right.
After 24 years, the fact that the organizations and the individuals and the architects and engineers of the world haven't been up in arms is just amazing. I mean, I think everybody's scared, or maybe a lot of them are stupid too.
Thanks, Mike. And Jerry, I think it was me that from all of what Richard said, I amalgamated that seven. That was my statement that 7 was enough. That wasn't Richard's. I wasn't quoting him there. I was just kind of amalgamating everything. So forgive me there. All right, Craig, and then Ellie and Carl, and then we're going around the room.
Okay, you can consider this my around the room comment, because I've got to run into the next room and watch my football team go for the Grey Cup, which, by the way, most of you won't know this, but the Grey Cup is the oldest professional trophy in North America, sports trophy. So there's a little bit of Canadian trivia for you. Anyway, I did want to make a point. I made this reference earlier, which about this article being taken down. One of the concerns that Andy Steele and I had when we were watching this process unfold, as we were being shown the door and this whole this upheaval was happening. One of the things that Andy tried to get into his severance agreement, an agreement that content wouldn't be taken down that had been done by him or by me. And there were two things in particular that I think were the contentious ones, or the potentially contentious ones. One was an interview on 9/11 Free Fall involving Andy, me, and Adam Ruff that was done in July, where we talked about the Pentagon evidence in quite a bit of detail. And then the second one was an interview with Aldo Marquis, which is the article that got taken down. It's now, as I said, now back up. But this was part of the Dawn of the Truth, Dawn of the Tide conference. I was at both, so I get them mixed up. I lost my train of thought there. Okay, so the Aldo Marquis interview, which was pretty big deal, because he'd been silent for like 12 years. So now I just want to make the point that remind everybody who's interested in this that Andy's podcast has tackled many different topics. It was never strictly held to the AE mission about the World Trade Center. We had Daniela Ganser on at the conference talking about Ukraine. We had James Corbett talking about censorship and the New World Order. We've Dominic DiMaggio talking about Shanksville a few years back. So we've tackled a wide variety. I should say mostly Andy by himself, tackled a wide range of things that weren't necessarily right in the core expertise of AE. So the same thing should go for the Adam Ruff thing and the Aldo Marquis interview. Those things deserve to be preserved. And so, if Richard wants to comment, he's welcome to. I'm not trying to put him on the spot, but that is one of the concerns that Andy and I had when this handover was happening, is we didn't think it was right that anybody coming in should take that content down. And I hope it isn't taken down. It'll get preserved somewhere else, but I hope it survives, because it's important evidence, whether it's 9/11, and that's what we're all here for. So that's my hope, is that will not disappear.
Thank you, Craig. Ellie.
Hey, y'all. I did want to make one point. Craig, you talked about being into Canadian sports. I mean, given that this is an American controversy, 9/11, I'm kind of concerned you might be an infiltrator, because we really need to focus on what's in the United States. So repping Canadian sports has me suspicious they might have already gotten to you. So just want you to know about that, Craig.
Okay. Well, I will point. All joking aside, there were 24 Canadians that died in the World Trade Center on 9/11. So, it does.
But that's something that an infiltrator would say, though. So, just want you to.
Are you being funny?
But
are you being funny?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Of course.
Okay, I don't know you well enough to be sure. But
yes, no.
In that case, good one.
No, I mean, I'm just like, it's just like, I'm just going back to the previous point about. I mean, anybody who spent this much time involved in the movement is doing it with good faith, but people are still
not
human.
Necessarily.
No, well, just
not necessarily.
One second.
All right.
I'm only saying that people are still human. Just because they may have sacrificed a lot for the movement doesn't mean that they don't have their own flaws and failures and issues that prevent them from actually being useful, and that could actually be counterproductive to the movement. and those don't, and I would say those don't mean that they are compromised in some like intelligence sort of way, but more that they are just human beings that fell for their own issues. So as we've seen this with other people in the past who had their own issues that had nothing to do with AE that required them to step away from the movement. So but I want to go back to the other point about the World Trade Center, and to say that I think what Richard's saying is valuable in terms of we should do as much analysis as possible. But it's kind of, I know I have a feeling that after Halsey's report came out, the focus is like, let's get this out to as many people as possible. And if you recall, when Halsey went to UC Berkeley, none of the engineering staff even showed up for his presentation. So I think that was kind of a reflection of that. You can do as many reports as you want. If the community of peers doesn't want to hear it, then the value is really diminished. And then it's like, well, should we really spend another $1 million or $1.5 million on another thing that nobody's going to listen to? I do think that's part of the calculus in terms of decision making on the part of Richard and A&E in the past. And it wasn't meant to say that it's not important. It's just what are we going to get out of this that's going to push things forward. And as you can see in the last couple of years, in the last really year, the amount of interest that has been generated has been driven by Building 7 more than anything else. And it is because of all the work that you all put into this. So I think, people may have disagreements, but we're seeing some amazing things bear fruit, regardless of what angle we came at them. And we should unite around the results that we've had recently and keep moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Ellie. I agree that the 9/11 Truth movement ego has been the problem, and that's for every movement. And that was my problem at the beginning, getting into 9/11 Truth full time. I had a head of steam and came off egotistical, and really, it's not saying it's completely gone, because I still have an ego and I try to check it every day and trying to get better at it. And some of the things that have happened in the past bunch of years, there's been a humility among certain people, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you. Carl and Jack.
Yes, I don't think anyone here really should assume the authority to assert that anybody else has a defective personality or character or aren't a team player or something like that, because unfortunately, I think a lot of us tend to only want to focus on have everyone focused on our particular aspect of things. And right now, I want to focus on someone else, which is Dr. Alan Sabrowski, who I think 10 years ago, I put in chat the interview he gave to Iran's Press TV. And this is calm Alan Sabrowski, not the 2-minute, very angry Alan Sabrowski interview most of you have probably seen. And the country is ready right now with the inference that Mossad was involved in Charlie Kirk's removal. Everyone understands Congress is controlled by Zionist interests, foreign and domestic. So Dr. Alan Sabrowski simply, as the former director of studies at the Army War College, says, all you have to do is look at World Trade Center 7 and realize that's a controlled demolition. There were explosive charges pre-positioned. And that's all you need to know to accept that, yes, there were explosives pre-positioned in all 3 towers. And that means immediately it was a false flag event. And the only entities in the world capable of pulling that off, he puts the emphasis on Mossad and Israel. And I would allow that, U.S. intelligence and military, as well as the Brits, deserve, to get their share of the credit or blame for choreographing everything. But that interview right there, that is what people are ready to listen to the succinct analysis for someone with military expertise to say, you have to look at who was capable of placing and choreographing the explosions that brought the 3 towers down. And that'll be my final comment tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Jack and Mike. And then we're going around the room.
I remember when Richard made a short movie where he said, "What's the matter with you people? Wake up, wake up." And I was thinking, because he had been coming out with a lot of things at that time, how can this one man do all this? So I think it's a very difficult job. And I think A&E should be moved to a small city near wherever Richard chooses to live. And possibly have its purpose changed to just being a video distribution service, because that, as we see with YouTube, has a terrific effect, and we could get a long way that way. If Richard wants to say, "I believe, this or this," then fine. That should be like a headline. And Gene wants to say, "I believe in this and this." That should be a headline. But I think we need to get out of the weeds now and just start spreading these videos. Thanks.
Thanks, Jack. Mike?
Yeah, I had something to say. I forgot what it was. I'm going on in the chat here. Teamwork. I've got a bunch of jokes on teamwork. I worked for Outward Bound in the National Outdoor Leadership School, NOLS, and we had to have these things to try to calm, situations where groups we're way out in the wilderness, and you really don't want people coming to fisticuffs out there and stuff. Mark Twain quote real quick. One man acting alone can be pretty stupid sometimes, but for real bona fide stupidity, you just can't beat teamwork.
Right on. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Hey, I've already done my gun around.
Okay.
I'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barb.
Oh, okay. This will be my around the electronic table too. First, a clarification question. I'm glad Craig McKee's still on. Craig, could you clarify if the Aldo Marquis interview or whatever it is that you were concerned was taken down and is now back up? Is that only his segment of the DC event, or is there an additional Aldo Marquis that was taken down?
First of all, I'm not even French, and I know it's Marquis, but
Okay. Well, I'm not French for sure.
all good. Craig, you still there for a response?
He's up there.
Well, he's up there, but he said he was going to start turning his attention to the Canadian version of the Super Bowl, which is tonight.
Okay, he just forgot to turn it off, I guess.
He may have left it on to hear it in the background. Maybe he's just not near his phone right now.
Okay, well, does anybody know the answer to that clarification question?
I think it was just a clip of Aldo's part in that event.
I think it was the Dawn of Truth segment.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, very good. So I just wanted to clarify that. I would like to just point out to people that Alan Zabrowski is very important. I agree with Carl Golovin on that. But I don't know how many people are aware that the very last interview on 9/11 that I'm aware of that he did, it was with Bonnie Faulkner. And it was right after that she was taken down. After, I don't know, a decade and a half, 2 decades at KPFA Radio in Berkeley, the really progressive radio station, and she was their lead person, got the greatest donations of all, very close friend of mine and colleague in the movement. She did an interview with Alan Zabrowski. And in this interview, his bottom line was, Alan Zabrowski made a terrible mistake by focusing, and that the movement made a terrible mistake by focusing on not just World Trade Center 7, but the World Trade Center at all at the beginning and not the Pentagon. He said, I made a terrible mistake. I now realize it's the Pentagon that really matters. I'm sorry that Craig isn't on to hear that. I'm not sure he knows that. And that was evidently so dangerous to the powers that be behind the actual attacks on 9/11 that Bonnie Faulkner was taken down. So that's my comment.
Thanks, Barb. All right, going around the room. Richard, anything for the group?
Thanks for all the support, everybody, for getting there and then not getting there after all. I I really appreciate everything I'm hearing and take it to heart. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Richard. Go to Jane, sweet Jane.
Oh, thank you. I don't have anything to add. I just always love being a part of this process. It's so juicy. It's so multifaceted. And anyway, thank you all. Yeah.
Thanks, Jane. Carol Brule.
I think of Master Eckhart, who says we are all beginners amidst beginners. I think we have to remember we all have a lot to learn. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And I'm sorry Marty was on earlier, and I was hoping that she'd give us an update on the article that she's working on with Raoul. And I know they're working on it, and I hope it helps the truth movement advance to the next level.
Thank you, Carol. And for those that don't know, Raoul is working with Fran and Marty on an article about cognitive dissonance. So we are looking forward to that. So thank you for reminding us. Al Megaletta.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you might need to mute one of the mics.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead and go through it. Even
Yeah,
though
no, I just thank everybody for being here. It was very interesting and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Max Headroom. Good.
That sounded like an Oscar.
He had the wah-wah bar on. Right. JB.
I just want to thank and applaud Richard and Gail for all their patience and endurance through these challenging times. Thank you.
Thanks, JB. Roy, getting cold.
No. I'm going out for a walk with the dog. But before I do that, I put a PDF in the chat. Can you download it and put it up so I don't have to share my screen?
I'm looking. There we go. I gotta save it. Hang on. Too many screens.
This is from 2 weeks ago, talking about the demolition of Building 7 and the difference in the color in the sky was attributed to different cameras. Sandra said that. Being kind of the opinion that the divergence was a little more than that, a little curious about exactly what the differences was. That's not the PDF that I'm
trying to get it.
Put on the chat. Mine is near the bottom. There it is. That's it. So what I did was there are 31 videos of the demolition of Building 7. And I took a sample of the sky at the upper right of the building next to the smoke. So it's all from exactly the same position in relation to the building. And you can see very clearly a very, very wide variation in the color of the sky that I do not think is attributable to different cameras. I believe that the videos were messed with, were doctored, were filtered, I don't know the technical things that would be done to videos. I've never worked with videos, but I think that's a very remarkable difference here. And so, I have I was trying to just in the last week get a discussion going between the CGI people and the hologram people, which did not work at all because the CGI people didn't want to talk to the hologram people and the hologram people didn't want to talk to the CGI people. So that, it is unresolved as far as I'm concerned. But I just did want to show this. This is something I have for the group. The extremely wide variation in the color of the sky in the WT7 demolition videos. So that's it. You can take it for what it's worth or whatever you think.
Yep. Thank you, Roy. I just want to show we painted our bedroom this past weekend, or one of the rooms. I just want to show you. None of these are representative of what was on the swatch because you get different angles. Here I'm getting two different colors. Here's a blue. Here's a deep blue. It's the same color blue. Pardon all the other stupid pictures, but there's even, it looks like a different color blue yet, but they're all the same blue. So it might not even be the same camera, just a different angle, the different place you're pointing at the camera in the sky.
Well, he said already like it was from the same angle and all of that. But what I wanted to add was Gene and I both took pictures with our phones, each with our phones, of that
dramatically different colors
from the same angle, same walls, same everything, and it was
yes, but they're all blue. I mean, they're not green and yellow and white and red and every color of the rainbow.
Yeah.
They're different shades of blue. And anybody that opens that PDF, if they download it, can see for themselves the vast difference. I don't think there's anything to discuss about it. I think the video was played with. Various of the videos were played with, which would tend to be leaning towards the CGI fake video rather than towards the hologram real video side of it. I don't think the matter's been properly investigated, and certainly the people that have arrived at their opinions don't seem to be wanting to explore it any further. They just seem to be happy to stay with the opinion they already have, which I guess is pretty common. But at any rate, that was what I had. That's it. The 31 samples of the sky behind the World Trade Center at the moment of its collapse.
Thank you, Roy.
The World Trade Center or World Trade Center 7?
World Trade Center 7.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. Let's go, Mike Zardano.
Hey, I just wanted to say, I think everybody needs to ask themselves, how do we get out of the hamster wheel? And that's going to be something we're going to continue to talk about on Tuesday night at Tap Talk. And I'd like to invite everyone out. We meet every Tuesday night. This coming Tuesday, we're going to follow up on the curriculum that is being legislated upon our children to lie about 9/11, to continue and perpetuate the lie of 9/11, the government conspiracy theory. And we're going to talk about how to go about doing this, the values of it. Also, I want to announce that Carl Schwartz is going to be back on the 25th of November. That's 2 Tuesdays from this Tuesday, the 25th of November, 8 p.m. But Tuesday night this coming week, we're going to discuss in detail. Hopefully, I'll have the evidence that I obtained from our school district through a records request. And it should be very interesting to see what they are forcing upon our students. But this is a real new 9/11 frontier. It's a new territory that has never been explored. Now there are 15 states across our country that are mandating a curriculum every anniversary of 9/11. And this is a perfect opportunity to do what Richard discussed, changing the public's opinion. That's where political change begins with the public, but then it must enter into the political environment of the town hall, the city council, the county commission. And politics is not a spectator sport. And if we want change, we've got to participate and get out of the chair, the couch, the bed, and participate face to face where we can make real change. We look them in the eye. When they're lying to us about the curriculum, we can challenge them. They will see us, we will see them, we will know where they live, we will know when they meet, and we can confront them peacefully and rhetorically with the truth. So join us Tuesday night, Truth Action Project, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Look forward to it. Thank you, Gene and Sandra. You guys do a great job.
Thank you, Mike. Check out truthactionproject.org, their event page, if you want to get in on that. Thanks, Mike. Magnus, anything for the group?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here, and great work, everybody, and keep it up. We have to make this happening very soon. I was wondering, Richard Gage, 9/11 Crimes in the Courtroom, episode 5, is it any progress there?
Yeah, I'm done with the rough edit, and Stev is 80% done with the polish edit. He might actually be done with round 1. Usually there's 4 rounds of that. Anyway, it'll be done in November, that's for sure.
Wow, great. You are great. Great work, and keep up the great work, Richard Gage. You are great.
Gosh, you too, Magnus. I think you're great too.
Right on. Thanks, Magnus. Chuck Fall.
Hey, peace out, everyone. Have a great week. But about the Tap Talk coming up, a newsletter was sent out. Please open it, click on it if you get it. If you don't get our newsletter, go to our website and subscribe, and hopefully you will start getting it. We're going to be talking about chemtrails. Dane Wigington is interviewed by Tucker Carlson. So there'll be discussion about that. As you know, TAP's multi-issue organization. And as Mike said, there'll be an update on the curriculum, Truth Project. We have to get a good ringing sound for that. And hopefully there'll be an update on Rainer Fuellmich, who's a political prisoner in Germany for his stance on being a COVID truther. So there's a lot and there'll be inevitably more general chat. But have a great week, everyone. Take care.
You too, Chuck. Thank you. Barb, you put your hand up?
No, it was still up from before.
Oh, it was up from before? Okay. Sean,
Yeah, up from before. Sorry.
Oh, good. Sean? Anything for the group wrapping up?
Does Barb want to chime in?
Nope, she was done. You're good.
This thing of no money is great. You and Sandra, Richard, and his old lady. That's Gail, of course. But
it's a biker term of endearment.
Go ahead, Gene.
That's a biker term of endearment, old lady. Just saying. All
right. Yep. And it's totally endearment.
Yep.
For everyone involved. I'd just like to say that I don't talk much on this, but I've been involved for a bit in this channel. I feel like there's no money transacted here. And this is a war room. And the war room is about truth. And everyone involved, that includes 22 people still here, still involved. I think Gene and Sandra and Richard and Gail and maybe Craig are ardents of truth, and we need to continue. It's like nice. You guys don't think the youth don't know, but you guys got to understand the youth do know. The youth do know for sure. They know that something's been wrong. I'm sorry I'm not on camera. I don't like showing my face. And they know it's not so much about today, about knowing what happened, about what we do, more importantly. So, God bless, folks.
God bless you, brother. Thank you for those words. I really appreciate it. Sue.
Yeah. Quickly, we have on the 25th at 6:30, Bob Runyon. And then on December 11th, Mark Rossini at 6:30. But also, I just wanted to pay tribute to Raul Angulo, because he's the one who caused the snowball that we're getting this year. He's the one who got the attention of Kurt Weldon, and then Kurt Weldon got the attention of Tucker Carlson, and then Ron Johnson. And by extension, I want to also mention Eric Lawyer, who hammered at Raul for years to take a look at this stuff until Raul finally cracked and looked at the stuff. And he is taking the ball and running with it. And it's been the most effective strategy that we've had in years, because who doesn't love a firefighter? And it wasn't just about Building 7, because as it's been pointed out tonight, no one died in Building 7. It's about the 343 plus firefighters who have died on 9/11. And that is huge. That is huge. So Raul, I would probably not like to get as much attention as I would like to give him, but I think he is the hero of 9/11 Truth in 2025.
Man of the year. Yeah.
Agreed.
He's definitely making waves. He, as a term of endearment now, it has become. He used to call us the wackadoodles, but he begrudgingly looked into it, and now he can't put it down. He's got the fever for the flavor. It's great.
I tried to convince him to participate in a firefighter calendar with him and 11 other firefighters for 9/11 Truth, and see if we could sell that. And he didn't.
Oh, that's great. With Chris Goya?
Yeah,
and any of them that would be willing to participate, but I don't think they want to get half naked. So
They don't have to be naked. They can be in their uniforms.
Yeah,
they could.
Thank you too. And you too for you and Al and what you do with Boston 9/11 Truth.
Yeah.
And just
Absolute troopers. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
And Jane.
And Jane. Bob, anything for the group? BOB. You might not be there. David Campbell, anything for the group?
Yeah, hi, Sandra and Jane. Jane and Sandra, thanks for hosting. I'm just thinking on the assertions made tonight and response and debate, and I heard an apology, which I always like. It's maybe a trite reminder of the need for being professional and being respectful, and I'm also mindful that better that we air laundry here, dirty or otherwise, than on the outside. And I don't think anyone's really made money off 9/11 on the truth side of things. And so if we keep that in mind and assume the best in each other, and also ask and answer hard questions, I think that's maybe the best we can aspire to. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Trina. Haven't seen her in a while. You there, Trina?
Hi, guys. Great to be back. I love this community. Love each and every one of you. I just want to say, I don't really know what to say exactly, but I've loved what I've heard. I'm sorry, Richard and Gail, that reunion didn't happen. Hopefully it will. I'll keep with Jean on praying that if it's meant to be and it's going to work out, we're going to pray about that. I just dropped a meme into the chat that I think is pretty important for all of us to remember, that it's time to gang up on the problem and not each other. And I want to say that would, in my opinion, goes along with various disagreements. I heard I think it was Roy that said that the CGI people were arguing with the other people, and then you've got the no planes at the Pentagon, all of that division. I just wish that we could all knock that off and, gang up on the problem, not each other. So I guess I'll just close with that. United we stand, divided we fall. And I'd love to see, I don't want us to be doing this 20 years from now, still trying to, especially with, what's being highlighted with the curriculums in the schools. And, I guess I'm not done real quick. I'll say that I was on the call the other day with our cable company. Yeah, I still have cable. And the kid that was helping me, I'll say he was a kid. It turns out he's 23, not really the youth, but a younger person. has two children at home. He said I asked him if he knew anything about 9/11 truth. I usually try to do that when I'm on the call with somebody like that on the phone. And he had no clue about Building 7. He does now, but he told me he didn't get into politics. And I said, that's great. I'm glad you're not, stay apolitical. I mentioned that both sides, are really, truly harming all of us. So we got to keep getting the word out. Not enough people know. And I just think the more that we can stay divided as a team, with all of our views, all of our personalities, etc. I'm going to mirror what someone else said. Let's all try to find the good in each other, look for that, not the bad. So I'll close with that. Love you all.
Love you too. Thank you, Trina.
Thanks, Trina. It's easier. It just involves so many things. But at the end, I have a personal feeling that people are invested in being right because their ego is somehow attached to it. And that prevents them from seeing the larger picture. But,
well, hopefully we can all evolve to get there. Maybe we're not all there at this point in time, but maybe the more that it's heard, maybe the more that it's spoken, said, especially in group settings like this, hopefully it'll start resonating with people. So we can hope.
Thank you. Mike, you put your hand up.
Oh, and there's the meme. I forgot to put that in.
Yeah, I was.
Jane's looking for it.
I just forgot to send it. I had it up and queued, but
Hang on,
there you go.
Everybody's got to see it first. Share. There you go. Time to gang up on the problem instead of each other. Noble quote. It's a tough one to actually live. So
it is. We can hope.
We could try. Yes. Thank you. Mike Zorzano, you put your hand up?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to respond to two things. First of all, what appears to be divisiveness or division, this is where these types of things should happen in the private realm. It's the public arena that we don't want this divisiveness to happen, like in DC or any kind of a public event. We want to display unity on the paramount issues of this crime and not get tangled in the weeds about planes, no planes, et cetera, et cetera. So I agree with Trina to a degree, but these differences must be hashed out on a threshing floor among those who are most in the know, and that's this group of people. Now, secondly, just imagine your county school district, it's discovered, is forcing a big lie upon unsuspecting, vulnerable children. And you find out about this, that they're telling your children that Muslims did hijack airplanes and commit the crime of 9/11. I can't wait for the opportunity to look them in the face and ask them, how did Muslims plant bombs in Building 7? Why are squibs shooting out of the two twin towers due to bombs? Can you imagine? I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. We got 3 people to get through. Whoever social sciences is.
It's Richard Allofritz.
Oh, it is. Rich, anything for the group? There you are.
Yeah. Hey, nice to see you all.
Doctor?
Mr. Doctor. So I know a lot of people here. I think probably a few people don't. Years and years ago, I wrote my doctoral dissertation on the 9/11 truth movement. And over the years, I've been somewhat active. And thanks to Gene for setting me up with a room in DC, I was able to afford to go because I paid for everything myself. No intelligence funding or university funding. So because I was in DC, I was asked to speak or give a lecture in December. So now I'm rooting through all of my old material that I've written and collected and presented over the years. I wonder if I could share my email address in the chat. And if anybody cares to send me an email, What I'm interested in is, and I've observed a lot of this tonight, to be frank, if anybody wants to share their opinions on the state of the 9/11 truth movement today. So just to iterate, like, I did my doctoral work on this. I flew to New York several times, interviewed activists. I worked with the 9/11 Truth Movement Facebook group. And I'm pretty sure that's where I met Gene. In fact, I dug up an old piece of data and I realized that I met you online before I met you in person. Anyway, so if anybody wants to send me their opinion about the state of the 9/11 Truth Movement today, then I'm just trying to get a sense of where the movement thinks they're at or you're at, because as a sociologist, I sort of have an insider-outsider view. So that's it. Yeah. Interesting conversation.
Yeah, and Richard, I mean, you probably were not on any of the calls that we had maybe about 6 months ago. We had a girl that was joining us for a while. Her name was Davina Arona. Right. And she was in Chicago completing a thesis or can't remember what exactly, but one of those things. One of those
a master's thesis.
Master's thesis, something like that, about conspiracy theorists, the type of person who questions these things and, their demographics, their background, their ages, their groups, their upbringing, all of that stuff. I don't know if that would be of any relevance to you at all. If it is, I'd be happy to put you in touch with her because she just finished her whole thing. And she joined our call because she was looking to connect with people to actually sit down and go through all of these questions that she had. And she had multiple 1-hour conversations with many of us here who had volunteered for her research. So I'm sure she would have really interesting insight. It's not exactly what you're looking for, but it might help give you some perspective.
Sure.
She has finished her interviews and but her thesis won't be done till March.
Okay, because she published a picture with some kind of like graduation thing, like achievement thing, and I thought that that's what it meant. So that was my bad assumption.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if she needs an outside observer or something. But one of the questions that I got during my doctoral defense was about like race, class, gender, and demographics and things like that. And I was like, yeah, I didn't record any of that. I was not interested in that at all. Because I was interested more in motivation and interpretations. So yeah, I don't know if I could be of help to her or she could, fill in some gaps for me, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd love to be in contact.
The only thing that she would share with me, she was that the results were not what she expected.
See, the results were exactly what I expected.
All right.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
I just want to thank you, Rich. This is the profile page of Davina. So we can see what she looks like here. Here's her new graduation picture. So yeah, she was really interesting to talk to. I also want to thank Rich. He was fundamental in helping us do this poll for the 20th anniversary. I made it all try to look nice, but he knew all the mechanisms of how to get this published and whatnot. But down at the bottom here, it says we did national survey of 1,156 American adults conducted September 4th through 6th, 2021 by Pulse Opinion Research. And some of them were like loaded questions like this one. Are you aware that there is currently ongoing legal proceedings attempting to initiate a grand jury investigation into the events of 9/11? 30% no, said yes, 70% no, but now they know. So, but a lot of them were interesting about Building 7. Are you aware that a third skyscraper, World Trade Center 7, collapsed on 9/11? 52% said yes.
And that was 4 years ago.
Right. And then this one up here. Do you think it's reasonable to be skeptical about the official narrative? It was teetering finally on yes, 51%. So thank you, Rich, for helping us with that. And I'm really interested that how much of the call did you hear tonight?
All of it.
Oh, really? Okay. So that's great. I'm like pleased to hear all that interaction and not knowing he was there because this was raw 9/11 truth movement. So thank you.
Yeah, his picture flickered up right at the end. Social sciences. How many do we have?
All right. Jetty from Scotland.
Aye, I certainly am. The look, the Building 7 thing that we did that came out of Alaska was absolutely incredible. It's a shotgun, right? It's good for fighting in the field, and it gets you close to the castle. You get near that castle and you don't have cannons and cannonballs to lob at it. You're not. They don't care. That's why. Yeah, you got a reaction from it. But if you get to those castle walls and you don't have cannons and cannonballs to fire at it, then you're not threatening the establishment. Those cannons and those cannonballs are the towers. If the Building 7 analysis from Alaska can achieve so much, and it's a building that 70 or 80% of people have never heard of, just imagine that same analysis with the same gravity and weight about it was about the towers. Imagine the impact and the import that would have on people. We've hit them with an uppercut with the Building 7 thing. If we don't have that knockout punch, we don't scare them. If we turn up to those castle walls and all we've got is a shotgun, the pellets are just going to bounce off the walls. I can't emphasize enough. Robert Burns said, "Oh, what some powers the gift to give us, to see ourselves as others see us." And from this distance away from the US, it's so obvious to see that the establishment is not in the least bit scared of who we are and what we're doing. You put a towers analysis of the same caliber of the Building 7 analysis that came out of Alaska, you will put the fear of God into these people, because that's where people died, and that's what firefighters are still dying from, the huge amounts of asbestos that got thrown into the air, and civilians. That is going to put the fear of God into them. And I would also say that I would second the vote for Raul being the Man of the Year 2025, and heed his words that when he says, "I can't sell direct energy weapons and video fakery to people." Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. What I think I heard Jerry say is, we got our big weapon under our kilt and we need to lift this kilt. So that was a try at a joke. Anyways, Sandra, anything for the group?
Well, I was just going to, I don't know, we were still debating whether we should mention this or not, and we were still waiting for the official okay, but
Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
We spoke to counter what Jerry just said, that nobody's afraid of us or whatever. We found out since Dick Cheney passed away about 10 days ago or so, that apparently after the UAF study came out, Halsey was threatened directly by Dick Cheney. So
yeah,
now that he had died, I guess he felt more comfortable in sharing that information. He shared it with Raul, and Raul let us know. And
I asked Raul. Raul said he was going to call him back and see if this is from an email or if this was
no. It was verbal, and it was through a third party. But it was verbal. So we don't know a whole lot more about it. But yeah, enough to know.
Halsey was over the target. And when you get a call from Dick Cheney or
you get a message from Dick Cheney saying, "We're watching you and be very careful."
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we know who the third party was?
No, we need to dig into this more. So
we don't know any more details than that.
All right. Anything else?
No. Thank you everyone for being here, for being absolute troopers, each in your own way. I'm just glad that everybody here is just doing something. But I think Mike Sarzano is right. We need to get out of our comfort zones. We need to interact directly with people, deal with humans, look them in the eye, have conversations with them, challenge them as diplomatically as possible. And everything we do behind the keyboard is great, and everything we organize is great, but we do need to interact with people, and it's a reminder to keep on doing that.
Ross, you have your hand up?
Yeah, you forgot me. Are you saying goodbye? Because you forgot me.
I thought you had said that this was going to be yours, but go ahead.
No, you're thinking of somebody else. Anyway, yeah, so I hate to have to bring up Edward Bernays again because I'm going to suggest his strategy, and he's probably maybe the most evil person in modern history. And he may have even been the mastermind of 9/11. I'm not so sure, but he might have been. But anyway, he changed the advertising dynamic for the world and in the United States in the 1930s, 1940s. His uncle was Sigmund Freud. And so he used psychological analysis to apply that to advertising and to get people to, buy his products. And what he changed was people were advertising to buy things from a practical standpoint, like you and we have all been doing in the 9/11 Truth. Is like, well, look at this 9/11 Building 7, and all these and these firefighters and all these practical issues. But we've been missing what Edward Bernays shifted that to, which was that it's got to be a desires and an irrational desires. Humans are irrational in Sigmund Freud's analysis. And you've got to, in order to get them to wake up, you have to appeal to their irrational desires. So I would say, how about we just say, let's build the towers again, using them as the most efficient towers ever built, but for the right purposes. That's a pretty irrational and highly desired effect that I think people would pay attention to. So to get there, I think we need a scientific process for how the towers 1 and 2 came down, a really scientific evaluation like Halsey report, but it doesn't have to be $1 million computer model. It can be a $100,000 or $200,000 study by professionals in the industry that care, that are going to perform experiments and do just a simple scientific process, just something a little further than scratching the surface and talking about the evidence, but actually showing, tests and experiments and documentation as to how you could actually do it and see where that goes scientifically. So we need that process. I'll do it for $100,000. Did you hear that? 100,000. At least I'll head the project up, and it'll be very entertaining and very much like a fireman's calendar. I love that idea. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. We need the desires. Unfortunately, and I don't like Edward Bernays at all, but you know what? He was right about that, and unfortunately, it's been taken over, and we need to capture that back into a good concept for truth. Okay.
Yeah, I think we should also add to that controlled demolition experts.
Yeah. Last chance. I think I got everybody. Mike,
Gene, I never got to speak.
I thought you also said that you take this as my call, but go ahead.
Yeah, we're a little thrown off because every time someone goes off camera, the order changes, and then
go ahead.
Okay, Richard, I just wanted to say that you should arrange things for the most convenient for you and the most effective way of getting the job done. As I really disrespect these rules of executive directors and all that. I have a friend, and I'd be glad to give anyone the name of this group, but he started a group in Boston to raise money for the various peace organizations, and it really caught on. He raised millions and millions of dollars. So his wife said, "You've got to get an office, and you've got to get professionals in here to run it." So he did. And I was shocked when I went over there one time. They weren't that friendly, and they had these beautiful, beautiful cars parked in the parking lot. And they ended up using like $3 million just on their own salaries and cars and all this. So this whole thing of having an executive director, it's got to go, in my opinion. And I never liked Kelly and Kamal. I'm hearing bad things about Kamal. And responding to Mike, the under 30s are not getting their information from mainstream media anymore. I think the statistic is over 90% do not get their information from mainstream media. They get it from the internet and videos. And so I think all we have to do is get the videos available to them. And that's all that's necessary. Because I've talked to so many young people, and they don't watch mainstream media. They tell you that right off the start. I don't watch mainstream media at all. I don't believe it. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jack. How many people thinks Richard, once if he gets control of A&M and Truth, to just change it to an LLC? That's my anyway.
Anything that's better than it is now, and it should be open to a whole bunch of volunteers too. It should just be not quite so fancy as it was.
Thanks, Jack. Did I get everybody now? Because I think Mike said he's too noisy where he's at. I think Craig's watching football, and there was one other person.
Oh, Craig's one of those who said that was.
Yes, I think we're all good.
Yeah.
So that's all. Have a good evening, great week, and we'll all talk next time.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.